Dark, towering stones loom against the backdrop of a blood-red sunset. The wind whispers through forgotten ruins, silent witnesses to an ancient past, lost to time. What secrets do these colossal structures conceal? Around the world, from the mist-covered hills of Scotland to the sun-scorched deserts of Egypt, there are monuments, mysterious, enigmatic, and undeniably ancient, whose origins defy explanation. No written record, no known civilization can account for their existence. Who built them? Why? And how? Were these monumental creations the product of civilizations we've never known? Or do they hold the key to a lost chapter of human history? A chapter so profound that even modern science struggles to make sense of it? In this journey, we will uncover the truth behind ancient prehistoric structures, unraveling the myths, the mysteries, and the discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew about our past. Prepare to question everything. At the far western edge of Egypt, where the Sahara softens into a basin of salt lakes and date palms, the Siwa oasis appears almost unreal. Surrounded by vast emptiness, it has long felt separate from the rhythms of the outside world. Rising from a rocky outcrop known as a gurmi are the eroded remains of the Temple of Ammon. Sun-bleached stone, broken columns, and walls worn smooth by centuries of wind. From a distance, the structure seems to grow out of the desert itself, as if shaped by the land rather than built upon it. Historically, this temple was dedicated to Ammon, the Egyptian god later identified by the Greeks as Zeus Ammon. By the first millennium BCE, Siwa had become one of the most important oracular centers in the ancient Mediterranean world. Pilgrims crossed hundreds of miles of desert to consult the oracle, believing the god spoke here with unusual clarity. Even powerful rulers sought its voice. In 331 BCE, Alexander the Great famously made the journey, emerging with the declaration that he was the son of Zeus Ammon, a claim that would shape his political and divine authority. Mainstream archaeology explains the temple as a product of Egypt's late period, constructed with local limestone and aligned according to religious symbolism rather than strict astronomical precision. Inscriptions and architectural fragments support its role as a sanctuary and oracle, not unlike Delphi in Greece. Yet much about the temple remains uncertain. Earthquakes, particularly the one recorded in 365 CE, severely damaged the structure, collapsing sections that may have once held inscriptions or chambers, now lost forever. What continues to intrigue researchers is the nature of the oracle itself. Ancient sources describe voices emerging from within the temple, statues that moved or spoke, and priests who delivered answers that were often cryptic but uncannily precise. Were these accounts simply exaggerations, shaped by belief and distance? Or did the priests of Siwa possess techniques, acoustic design, controlled lighting, or ritual psychology that amplified the experience of divine communication? Some researchers point to the temple's layout and geology. The rock beneath Siwa contains natural fissures and hollow spaces, capable of producing strange echoes when air or sound passes through them. In a quiet, enclosed sanctuary, even subtle vibrations could seem supernatural. Combined with ritual fasting, incense, and expectation, the oracle's voice may have felt undeniably real to those who heard it. Beyond these explanations, more speculative theories linger at the edges of discussion. Some suggest the site predates its known construction phases, built atop a much older sacred location whose purpose has been forgotten. Others wonder whether Siwa's isolation preserved ancient knowledge systems, astronomical, spiritual, or symbolic, that never fully entered the historical record. There are even claims, unproven and debated, that the temple aligns with distant landmarks or celestial events in ways not yet fully understood. What is clear is that the Temple of Ammon occupied a unique place in the ancient imagination. It was not merely a building, but a threshold, between desert and oasis, mortal and divine, certainty and mystery. Even today, standing among its ruins, the silence feels deliberate, as though the site is withholding something rather than revealing it. Perhaps the true power of the Temple of Ammon lies not in what it answered, but in what it continues to ask. How much of history has been shaped by belief in unseen forces, and how many voices from the past still speak, unheard, beneath the sands of Siwa? From the silence of the Sahara, our journey now shifts across oceans and centuries to another place shaped by isolation and endurance. Where Siwa rose from desert rock as a meeting point between gods and kings, this next structure clings to stone in a very different landscape, yet it carries a similar sense of unanswered purpose. High above the green ribbon of Arizona's Verde Valley, Montezuma Castle emerges from a limestone cliff. At first glance, it seems almost impossible. A 5-story dwelling, built directly into a sheer rock face, its pale walls blending seamlessly with the canyon itself. From below, the structure appears suspended in time, windows cut with precision, rooms stacked carefully one above another, all perched more than 90 feet above the valley floor. Despite its name, Montezuma Castle has no connection to the Aztec emperor. The misattribution came centuries later, when European settlers, searching for familiar reference points, linked the ruins to legends they already knew. In reality, the site was built by the Sinagua people, a pre-Columbian culture that inhabited central Arizona between roughly 600 and 1400 CE. Archaeological evidence suggests the castle was constructed gradually, expanded and refined over generations, until it became one of the best-preserved cliff dwellings in North America. From a practical standpoint, mainstream explanations are clear. The elevated position offered protection from floods, which frequently swept through the Verde Valley. It also provided defense from potential threats and access to cooler air during the intense desert summers. Ladders, now long gone, would have allowed residents to climb up and down, retractable in times of danger. Inside, the rooms were compact, designed for storage, sleeping, and daily life rather than ceremony or display. And yet, questions linger. Why choose such a precarious location when easier ground-level settlements existed nearby? The Sinagua were skilled farmers cultivating corn, beans, and squash along the valley floor. They understood the land intimately. So what compelled them to build so high, embedding their homes into stone as if retreating from the world below? Some researchers suggest social or environmental pressures. Prolonged droughts may have driven communities closer together, turning the cliff dwelling into a shared refuge. Others point to shifting trade routes or conflicts now lost to history. But none of these explanations fully account for the architectural confidence on display. The precise placement of rooms, the durability of the structure, and the long-term occupation suggest careful planning rather than desperation. There are also subtler details. The castle faces north, limiting direct sunlight, an unusual choice in a region where warmth is valuable. Was this purely practical, or did it reflect cultural beliefs about balance, seasons, or the spiritual qualities of shadow and stone? No written records remain to tell us how the Sinagua understood their world, only the architecture they left behind. More speculative interpretations drift at the margins. Some propose that Montezuma Castle was not merely a residence, but part of a broader network of cliff dwellings aligned with natural features or celestial patterns. Others wonder whether the site held symbolic meaning, representing a threshold between earth and sky, safety and exposure. These ideas remain unproven, but they persist because the structure itself invites contemplation. By the early 15th century, the Sinagua abandoned Montezuma Castle. The reasons are still debated. Climate change, resource depletion, or social transformation may have played a role. Whatever the cause, They left behind a home that would endure for centuries, long after its builders were gone. Standing beneath the cliff today, it is difficult not to feel the weight of that absence. The rooms are empty, the ladders missing, the voices silent. And yet the structure remains, watching over the valley as it always has. Was Montezuma Castle simply a solution to environmental challenges, or something more deeply tied to identity, belief, and survival? And if its builders chose to leave, what knowledge did they take with them, leaving only stone as their final answer? As the camera glides over the rolling hills of northern Tunisia, the sun casts long shadows across the faint outlines of ancient stonework. Here, near the ruins of what was once the bustling heart of the Carthaginian civilization, lie foundations that have silently endured millennia. Massive, irregularly shaped megaliths, their surfaces smoothed not by modern machinery, but by the hand of a time long past. These stones are not mere remnants of a city. They are a puzzle, a whisper from an era whose secrets are largely lost to us. The Carthage megalithic foundations, largely hidden beneath layers of sediment and urban sprawl, hint at an engineering mastery that challenges conventional narratives about the region's ancient builders. Walking among these stones, one is struck by their sheer size. Blocks of limestone and sandstone, some weighing several tons, are fitted together with such precision that even the narrowest gaps seem to defy explanation. Scholars note the use of basic lifting devices and manpower, yet the alignment, the weight, and the apparent purpose of these foundations suggest a deeper sophistication. Were these stones simply meant to support monumental structures, or did they serve a more enigmatic purpose, perhaps ceremonial or astronomical? The questions linger as the wind sweeps across the site, carrying with it the faint echoes of a city that once rivaled Rome itself. Historical records tell us that Carthage, founded by Phoenician settlers around the 9th century BCE, became a dominant maritime power, renowned for its trade networks, military prowess, and architectural achievements. Archaeologists have long studied the ruins of temples, fortifications, and harbors, noting the remarkable craftsmanship evident in walls and foundations alike. But the megalithic stones at the core of the city, the ones that form its earliest, most hidden structures, pose a challenge. Unlike the more refined stonework of later periods, these foundations appear intentionally irregular, yet they bear an uncanny stability. Modern engineers marvel at the balance of forces, the durability of materials, and the ingenuity in their placement. How did the Carthaginians move and fit such massive stones with the technology supposedly available to them? Some mainstream theories propose practical explanations. Levers, rollers, and the collective effort of skilled laborers could have accomplished this feat. Others suggest the builders might have had an intimate understanding of geological properties, knowing how to select and position stones for maximum stability. Indeed, traces of wear and grooves suggest systematic methods of shaping and moving the rock, methods that might have been lost over centuries. Yet, for all these plausible explanations, a lingering question persists. Why did these foundations adopt such a monumental scale in the first place? Was it purely functional? Or did it carry symbolic meaning, a testament to the city's power and the spiritual ambitions of its people? As one examines the layout of the foundations, subtle patterns emerge, alignments that appear almost deliberate. Certain stones correspond roughly to cardinal points, while others suggest geometric relationships that may have mirrored celestial events. Ancient Carthaginians were known to worship deities associated with the sun, moon, and stars, and their religion often intertwined the terrestrial and the cosmic. Could it be that these foundations were more than structural necessities? Were they, in part, markers for ritual observances, or even an early form of architectural astronomy? Then there are the unexplained anomalies, the aspects that make researchers pause. Some stones are carved with shallow depressions and channels whose purpose is unclear. In certain sections, the bedrock beneath the megaliths shows signs of deliberate excavation, almost as if the builders had discovered a method to lock these massive blocks into place with an understanding of structural forces that predates modern engineering principles. And yet, no contemporary texts describe the techniques or tools used. It is as though a chapter of human knowledge has been erased, leaving only fragments for us to decipher. Fringe theories abound, as they do with many ancient megalithic sites. Some suggest lost civilizations, whose engineering knowledge surpassed that of the historical record. Others propose that these stones were positioned according to principles we no longer fully grasp, perhaps relating to energy lines, geomancy, or even a forgotten science of vibrations and resonance. While these ideas remain speculative, the careful observer cannot help but notice the remarkable symmetry, weight distribution, and placement precision that so often sparks such conjecture. The stones themselves seem to resist being fully explained, as if the builders intended them to endure not only physically, but as puzzles for future generations. Yet, for all the mystery, the foundations of Carthage also speak of human determination and ambition. Even without advanced machinery, the Phoenicians and their Carthaginian descendants demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to building a city that would stand for centuries. Each stone tells a story of labor and knowledge, ambition and ingenuity. Perhaps it is this duality, the combination of undeniable human skill with lingering, inexplicable anomalies, that makes these foundations so compelling. They are tangible reminders of our ancestors' capabilities, and simultaneously, they hint at possibilities we have yet to comprehend. As the sun dips low on the horizon, the shadows of the megaliths stretch long and indistinct, merging with the ruins of streets and walls that time has slowly reclaimed. One can almost imagine the bustling city that once thrived here. Merchants, sailors, priests, and artisans moving among temples and forums, their lives centered on a civilization that dared to challenge the Mediterranean world. And yet, beneath their feet, the silent stones continue to puzzle and intrigue, offering no answers beyond what is carved into their surfaces and etched into their alignment. Perhaps that is the most profound aspect of the Carthage megalithic foundations. They remain resolutely enigmatic. They invite us to question, to imagine, and to explore the boundaries between known history and the mysteries that persist just beyond the reach of our understanding. What truths about these stones, and the people who placed them, might still lie hidden beneath layers of earth and time? And if we were able to uncover them, would they confirm what we already suspect, or would they challenge everything we think we know about the ingenuity of ancient civilizations? For now, these megaliths hold their secrets silently, compelling us to look closer, think deeper, and wonder what else may lie beneath the surface of history itself. As we continue our journey through the enigma of ancient, unexplained structures, we find ourselves on a quiet plateau in the heart of South Africa, not far from the scenic wilderness of the Mpumalanga province. Here, amidst the undulating hills and vast skies, lies a site that has intrigued researchers and historians for decades. Adam's Calendar, also known as Blaauboschkraal. This ancient stone circle, though lesser known than its counterparts in the British Isles or the Americas, presents a puzzle that has fascinated archaeologists and alternative historians alike. At first glance, Adam's Calendar is deceptively simple, a circular arrangement of large stone slabs, their edges weathered by centuries of wind and rain, their surfaces etched with signs of age and mystery. The stones are laid out in a pattern that appears to be both natural and intentional, their placement suggesting a deliberate purpose. They rise from the earth like silent sentinels, their precise alignment with the cardinal directions of the compass immediately noticeable to anyone who stands within the circle. Yet, despite decades of study, the true nature of these stones remains elusive. What is Adam's Calendar? Who built it and why? Some claim it is the world's oldest known astronomical observatory, dating back an astonishing 75,000 years. If this is true, it would predate even the earliest known stone circles of Europe, rewriting the history of human civilization and our understanding of ancient cultures. But other interpretations exist, each adding a layer of complexity to the mystery. The site itself is located on a high ridge, offering a sweeping view of the surrounding valleys and distant mountains. There is something deeply serene about the location, as if the stones were placed not only to observe the heavens, but also to harmonize with the earth itself. The name Adam's Calendar was given to the site by Johann Heine, a local man who became captivated by the stones in the early 2000s. He believed that this was not just a simple stone circle, but an ancient calendar, possibly even a timekeeping device of an advanced prehistorical culture. His observations pointed to a highly sophisticated understanding of the cycles of the sun and moon, with the stone circle's arrangement closely mirroring the solstices and equinoxes. Such a claim, if accurate, would place this structure far beyond the reach of any known indigenous peoples of the area. Most scholars agree that the site's construction likely dates back to a time long before the arrival of the Khoisan people, who are traditionally believed to have inhabited this region. But the evidence is scant, and much of the historical context remains speculative. Some researchers believe the calendar could be even older, potentially constructed by a lost civilization, whose advanced knowledge of astronomy could have been passed down in oral traditions, only to be forgotten over time. What is perhaps most striking about Adam's calendar is the arrangement of its stones. The central stone, a large, almost pyramidal monolith, stands tall and proud within the circle, seemingly designed to catch the first light of the sun at dawn. Radiating outward from this stone are several others, arranged in such a way that they seem to trace the path of the sun across the sky. During the equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central stone, casting long shadows that seem to connect with other key stones in the circle. This alignment suggests an extraordinary understanding of celestial events, and it raises the question, was this calendar a tool for keeping track of time, or was it part of a more complex ritual system tied to cosmic beliefs? Mainstream archaeological explanations point to the possibility that Adam's calendar served a purely functional role. Some suggest it was a form of ancient timekeeping, used by hunter-gatherer societies to mark the passing seasons and guide migrations. But even these interpretations cannot fully account for the precision with which the stones are aligned. Did the people who constructed this site possess an advanced knowledge of the heavens that we are only now beginning to appreciate? Or were they simply following a tradition passed down from an even older civilization? A growing body of alternative theories, however, proposes that the site may be far older than traditionally believed. Some claim that the stone circle is not just a calendar, but a relic of a lost pre-Egyptian civilization. A civilization with knowledge of the stars, geometry, and natural forces that surpassed anything known to ancient cultures. According to this hypothesis, the builders of Adam's calendar may have been part of a global network of ancient societies who shared knowledge across vast distances, long before the rise of the more famous ancient cultures we know today. But there is another layer to the mystery that cannot be ignored. Some have suggested that Adam's calendar is not simply an astronomical or timekeeping tool, but a sacred site, a place where human beings connected with the divine. The stones themselves seem to radiate a quiet energy, a subtle vibration that some visitors report feeling when they stand inside the circle. Could it be that the site was used for rituals that sought to align the physical with the spiritual, to mark not just the passing of time, but the eternal cycles of life, death, and rebirth? The ancient Egyptians believed in the cosmic order of Ma'at. Could a similar concept have been at the heart of this site's creation? But these questions are far from resolved. With no definitive records or inscriptions left behind, we are left with only fragments of evidence, stones that still stand in silent witness to a civilization that has left little trace in the historical record. Could there be a connection between Adam's calendar and other ancient structures around the world? Structures like the pyramids of Egypt, the megalithic sites of Europe, or even the enigmatic ruins of Central America? If such connections exist, they would suggest a much older and more widespread human history than is currently understood. As the sun sets over the plateau, casting a golden light across the stones, the mystery deepens. Adam's calendar is a silent testament to the ancient human quest for knowledge and understanding, but it also stands as a reminder of how much we have yet to discover about our own past. Was it a simple timekeeping device, or something far more profound? Was it the work of a long-lost civilization, or the product of a local culture with an extraordinary understanding of the cosmos? For now, the answers remain out of reach, locked away within the stones themselves. And perhaps, in that very uncertainty, lies the allure of Adam's calendar, its quiet mystery inviting us to look deeper, think harder, and wonder what else might still be hidden in the ancient landscape of our world. From the windswept plateaus of South Africa, we now journey north across thousands of miles into the heart of the Sahara Desert, where the sun casts its relentless glare over an expanse of sandstone mesas and jagged cliffs. Hidden within this seemingly barren landscape lies a realm that has captivated archaeologists, historians, and adventurers for nearly a century, the Tassili region of southeastern Algeria. Here, the desert conceals one of the most extraordinary concentrations of prehistoric stone structures and rock art ever discovered, a silent archive of human ingenuity that stretches back tens of thousands of years. The Tassili Plateau is a labyrinth of eroded sandstone formations, natural arches, and deep gorges. Amidst this dramatic scenery, one encounters the remains of structures that defy easy explanation. Megalithic stone circles, small platforms, and arrangements of large rocks whose purpose is still debated. Some appear to be the foundations of dwellings, while others are aligned in geometric patterns, suggesting ritualistic or astronomical significance. Walking among these formations, it is impossible not to feel the weight of history pressing in from every angle, as if the stones themselves carry the memory of civilizations long vanished beneath the desert sands. The earliest systematic studies of Tassili began in the early 20th century, when French explorers documented thousands of rock paintings and carvings, many depicting animals, humans, and enigmatic symbols. These images, some dated as far back as 12,000 years, provide invaluable insight into the people who once thrived in a Sahara far more hospitable than today. But alongside the art, the stone structures have presented a far more perplexing challenge. Archaeologists have noted that the precision with which some stones are placed, the alignment of certain platforms, and the sheer effort required to manipulate massive blocks in such a rugged terrain suggest knowledge and planning that goes beyond what one might expect from small, nomadic communities. Mainstream theories propose practical explanations. Many of the stone circles and arrangements could have been used for communal gatherings, ceremonial rites, or astronomical observation, much like similar structures found across Africa and Europe. There is evidence, for instance, that some formations align with solstices or the rising of particular stars, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles. Yet, even with these plausible interpretations, questions remain. Why were these structures constructed with such care and in such remote locations? What knowledge did their builders possess, and why has so little of it survived in the historical record? One of the most intriguing aspects of Tassili is the variety and scale of its stone arrangements. Some sites feature circular or elliptical enclosures composed of carefully stacked rocks, while others suggest linear alignments that stretch across ridges and gullies. In certain areas, stones seem to have been deliberately shaped or smoothed, their surfaces etched with grooves that may have served a functional purpose, such as guiding water, or perhaps a symbolic one, now lost to time. How did the people of Tassili move and manipulate such stones in a landscape that remains challenging even for modern machinery? And what motivated them to exert such effort in building these enduring structures? Adding to the mystery is the relationship between the stone structures and the remarkable rock art of the region. Scenes depicting cattle, antelope, and even humans engaged in ritualistic dances suggest a culture deeply connected to both the natural and the spiritual worlds. Some scholars propose that the stone structures were extensions of these cultural practices, serving as stages for ceremonies, markers for sacred spaces, or observatories for tracking celestial phenomena integral to their religious beliefs. Yet, many of the arrangements are situated in locations that seem inhospitable for prolonged human activity, raising the possibility that their purpose went beyond practicality. Fringe theories have also emerged, fueled by the region's striking visual impact and the enigmatic nature of the structures. Some speculate that Tassili could have been part of a network of ancient sites across Africa, aligned according to principles of geomancy or even cosmic energy. Others suggest that the builders possessed a lost form of knowledge, perhaps related to advanced astronomy, surveying, or sacred architecture, that has yet to be understood by modern science. While these ideas remain speculative, the stones themselves refuse to be ignored. They hint at an intelligence capable of abstract thinking and long-term planning, reminding us that our understanding of prehistoric peoples is still incomplete. The harsh beauty of Tassili only intensifies its allure. Golden light spills across eroded cliffs as the sun begins its descent, casting shadows that stretch across stone circles and platforms. The silence is profound, broken only by the occasional whisper of wind through narrow gorges. One cannot help but imagine the people who once walked this land, how they measured time, marked seasons, and connected with the stars above. Did they perceive the world in ways fundamentally different from our own? Did the stones they left behind encode knowledge or belief systems that have been lost to history? And yet, for all the study and exploration, Tassili retains its secrets. Every stone circle, every carved monolith, and every shadow cast by the cliffs seems to pose a silent question. What drove these ancient people to build with such care in such an unforgiving landscape? How much of their knowledge was rooted in necessity, and how much in something more profound, an understanding of the cosmos, of life itself, or of forces we no longer perceive? The answers remain tantalizingly out of reach, locked within the desert's folds, inviting us to continue searching, questioning, and wondering. As the last rays of sunlight fade and the desert cools, Tassili stands as a testament to the ingenuity and curiosity of our ancestors. Its stone structures, at once familiar and alien, remind us that the past is far more intricate than we often imagine, and that some mysteries endure precisely because they are meant to inspire reflection. What truths lie hidden among the sandstone cliffs and stone circles? And what might these ancient remnants reveal about the origins of human civilization, if only we could decipher their silent message? For now, Tassili remains a puzzle, a place where history and mystery converge, inviting us to linger in wonder at the ingenuity of those who came before. From the windswept sandstone plateaus of Tassili our journey now follows the pulse of the Niger River southward into the heart of West Africa, where the floodplains and seasonal wetlands cradle one of the continent's most remarkable archaeological treasures, Djenné-Djenno. Here, amidst fertile riverine landscapes and the hum of cicadas, lie the vestiges of a city that whispers of human ingenuity stretching back millennia, challenging our understanding of urban development and ancient civilization. The first impression of Djenné-Djenno is its subtlety. Unlike the dramatic cliffs and stone circles of the Sahara, the city spreads quietly across the flat, flood-prone terrain. From the air, one can see the ghostly outlines of mounds, roads, and clusters of mud brick structures, some partially eroded, others still remarkably intact. These are the remnants of a settlement that flourished as early as 250 BCE, long before the arrival of the Islamic empires that would later dominate West Africa. For centuries, the city was a hub of trade, culture, and innovation, yet beneath its apparent simplicity lies a puzzle that has intrigued archaeologists since its discovery in the late 20th century. Walking through the site, one is struck by the skill with which the people of Djenné-Djenno shaped their environment. Buildings were constructed primarily from sun-dried mud brick, a material both abundant and fragile, yet the settlement demonstrates a striking degree of planning. Streets run in organized patterns, mounds were raised to avoid seasonal flooding, and central areas suggest communal or ceremonial use. The sheer scale of the city, at its height possibly housing tens of thousands, raises compelling questions about the social and technological sophistication of its inhabitants. How did a society without metal tools or written records manage such complex urban planning? What motivated them to build in such a challenging environment, where the seasonal rise of the Niger River could easily devastate the settlement? Archaeologists have identified thousands of artifacts at Djenné-Djenno: pottery, iron tools, beads, and remnants of trade goods originating from distant regions, including North Africa and the Mediterranean. These findings paint a picture of a city deeply enmeshed in continental networks, a place where innovation and commerce flourished long before European contact. Yet, as impressive as these discoveries are, they only deepen the mystery. Many of the city's practices, its urban layout, its early use of iron, and even the social organization implied by its architecture, suggest a level of development that seems to anticipate urban patterns seen in later African kingdoms. Could this have been an early model of city building, influencing societies across the Sahel and beyond? Or does it reflect a unique confluence of ingenuity and environmental adaptation, now lost to time? The question of chronology also adds to Djenné-Djenno's intrigue. Radiocarbon dating indicates that the city existed long before many historians once believed complex West African societies could have emerged. Some scholars now argue that this challenges the traditional narrative that sub-Saharan Africa developed complex urban centers only after contact with northern civilizations. If so, Djenné-Djenno stands as a testament to indigenous innovation, a city that achieved remarkable sophistication independently. But what were the origins of the people who built it, and what knowledge guided their urban planning and technological achievements? The answers remain elusive. Adding another layer to the mystery is the apparent alignment of certain structures with natural and astronomical features. While less overt than the stone circles of North Africa, some mounds and public spaces at Djenné-Djenno seem to correspond with seasonal solar patterns, flood cycles, or even distant mountain ranges. Could this reflect a sophisticated understanding of environmental cycles embedded into the very layout of the city? Or are these alignments coincidental, interpretations imposed by modern observers seeking patterns where none were intentionally designed? Either possibility speaks to the human desire to understand and harmonize with the world, a theme that resonates across many prehistoric sites. Fringe theories have also emerged, though they remain speculative. Some suggest that Djenné-Djenno may have been part of a much older network of trade and knowledge, connecting disparate African cultures long before the rise of recorded empires. Others propose that certain artifacts and urban designs hint at a ritualistic or spiritual dimension that guided the city's organization, possibly encoding a belief system or cosmology now lost. While these ideas cannot be confirmed, they underscore the depth of the mystery. Here is a city that, in many ways, anticipates the urbanism of much later societies, yet it emerged in a time and place that challenges conventional assumptions about early civilization. Walking through the ruins today, the sounds of modern Djenné, a nearby town that carries the name and heritage, mix with the distant calls of birds and the rustle of grasses in the river's floodplain. The mud brick mounds, their edges softened by centuries of wind and rain, hold an almost tactile memory of human effort. One can imagine children running along streets that are now eroded, merchants trading goods that arrived via long and arduous journeys, and leaders coordinating the construction of buildings designed to withstand both human and natural pressures. And yet, despite the evidence of daily life, much of the city's history remains hidden. Perhaps what makes Djenné-Djenno most compelling is its quiet insistence that history is rarely linear or simple. Here, in this floodplain along the Niger, humans achieved extraordinary feats of engineering, organization, and innovation, leaving behind clues that invite us to ask deeper questions about the trajectory of civilization. What knowledge guided their decisions? How did their culture evolve over centuries, and what connections might have linked them to distant peoples and ideas? And most provocatively, what stories remain buried beneath the layers of earth, waiting for the careful observer to uncover them? As the sun sets over the Niger's floodplain, casting warm light across the ancient mounds, Djenné-Djenno stands as a reminder of both human ingenuity and the enduring mystery of our past. It is a place where history and speculation intertwine, where questions outnumber answers, and where the achievements of a long-forgotten city challenge us to rethink what we know about early African civilization. In its silent streets and eroded structures, the city seems to ask us, what else might we discover if we only look closely enough, and how much of human history has yet to reveal itself to our understanding? From the floodplains of the Niger, where Djenné-Djenno quietly preserves the memory of a forgotten city, our journey now ascends to the rugged highlands of the Andes, where verdant mountains rise sharply from deep river valleys. Here, cloaked in mist and the dense greenery of the Peruvian cloud forest, lies Choquequirao, often called the sister city of Machu Picchu. Unlike its more famous counterpart, Choquequirao is remote, difficult to access, and largely untouched by mass tourism. Its stone terraces, ceremonial plazas, and intricate urban planning seem to emerge from the landscape itself, as if the mountains were shaping the city as much as the people who built it. Approaching Choquequirao, one is immediately struck by its scale and the precision of its construction. Massive terraces cascade down steep slopes, stabilized with perfectly fitted stones that resist centuries of erosion and seismic activity. Narrow paths wind through the site, revealing plazas, temples, and residential compounds, all carved with meticulous care from the very bedrock of the Andes. The sheer labor required to transport stones up such steep inclines, without the wheel or draft animals, is staggering. Scholars agree that the Inca, renowned for their engineering prowess, constructed Choquequirao in the 15th century, yet the details of its planning and execution continue to invite questions. How did the builders achieve such stability and precision in a location so difficult to access? What motivated the Inca to establish a city so remote, hidden deep within the mountains? Historical records suggest that Choquequirao was a ceremonial and administrative center, possibly serving as a strategic outpost controlling routes along the Apurimac River. Yet the city's remoteness has fueled speculation that its purpose extended beyond the practical. Some researchers propose that Choquequirao was deliberately placed in isolation to create a sacred space, a site where rulers, priests, and pilgrims could connect with the spiritual world without distraction. The Inca themselves believed the mountains were sacred, housing powerful deities, and many of Choquequirao's terraces and plazas appear aligned with natural features or celestial events. Could these alignments reflect a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, geography, or even energetic principles now lost to us? Walking along the terraces, it is impossible not to notice the careful orientation of the structures. Certain plazas catch the morning sun at specific times of the year, while temples are positioned to face distant mountain peaks or river bends. Some stones bear faint carvings, their meaning largely undeciphered, hinting at symbolic or ritual significance. Scholars argue that these features align with Inca cosmology, integrating the earthly and celestial worlds into a single urban vision. Yet the lack of written records leaves much to interpretation. Were these alignments purely symbolic, practical for agricultural or ceremonial timing, or could they indicate knowledge of celestial patterns that we are only beginning to appreciate? Choquequirao also raises questions about labor and logistics. Unlike Machu Picchu, which has a more accessible location, Choquequirao is perched on a steep, craggy ridge. Transporting stones, supplies, and people to such heights would have required extraordinary organization and manpower. Some researchers speculate that the site was intended to be self-sufficient, with terraces designed for agriculture, water management systems to capture rainfall, and pathways that facilitated both trade and ritual procession. But even accounting for these practicalities, the scale of the project implies a vision that blends engineering, spiritual purpose, and social organization in ways that remain awe-inspiring. Fringe theories surrounding Choquequirao are numerous, fueled by the site's remoteness and the precision of its construction. Some suggest that Choquequirao, like Machu Picchu, may have been part of a network of sacred Inca sites designed to channel spiritual energy across the landscape, a deliberate mapping of the cosmos onto the mountains. Others propose that its location, deep within the cloud forest, may have protected secrets, artifacts, knowledge, or ceremonial practices, now lost to time. While these ideas cannot be confirmed, they highlight the enduring sense of mystery that Choquequirao evokes, a city where human ingenuity meets the untamed power of nature, and where every stone seems to invite questions rather than provide answers. As the sun rises over the Apurimac River, mist weaving between the terraces, the scale and beauty of Choquequirao become even more apparent. The terraces themselves, designed to resist erosion, appear almost alive, blending seamlessly into the mountain slopes. The city's isolation, once a practical necessity, now contributes to its aura of enigma. One can imagine priests conducting rituals at dawn, farmers tending the terraces, and messengers moving along the narrow paths. Yet much of their daily life, their knowledge and their spiritual practices remain inaccessible, obscured by time, vegetation, and the very mountains that protected the city for centuries. Perhaps what makes Choquequirao most compelling is the way it embodies both mastery and mystery. Every terrace, every stone, every alignment suggests careful planning and profound understanding. Yet for all the study it has received, the city continues to resist full comprehension. Why build in such a location? What rituals, knowledge, or connections might have been hidden within its walls? And how much of this vision has been lost to the centuries of abandonment and overgrowth? As the day fades, casting long shadows across the terraces and plazas, Choquequirao stands as a silent witness to human ambition and ingenuity. It is a city that bridges the practical and the spiritual, the known and the unknown, challenging us to reconsider the capabilities of the Inca and the mysteries that still lie hidden within the Andes. What secrets might remain buried in these terraces, still waiting for careful eyes to uncover them? And if we could fully understand Choquequirao, would it reveal only what we already know, or something far more extraordinary about the people who carved a city from the mountains themselves? From the remote heights of the Andes, where Choquequirao clings to its mountainside like a secret whispered to the clouds, we now shift our gaze to a different landscape altogether, a landscape etched with mystery and monumental stonework, where the very earth seems to bear the marks of human ambition in shapes that defy conventional explanation. Across Africa, from the rolling hills of Ethiopia to the savannas and valleys of southern and eastern regions, lie remnants of what scholars have termed the Cyclopean walls, vast constructions of enormous stones, carefully stacked without mortar, forming terraces, enclosures, and fortifications that have endured for millennia. The first impression upon encountering a Cyclopean wall is one of scale and permanence. Gigantic stones, some weighing several tons, are fitted together with astonishing precision. Their surfaces are roughly hewn yet remarkably stable, resisting erosion, seismic activity, and the passage of time. In places, walls stretch for kilometers, contouring hills and valleys as if the builders intended the structures to grow organically from the land itself. Standing beside one of these walls, it is impossible not to wonder, who could have moved these stones, and why? What society possessed both the manpower and the knowledge to manipulate such immense materials without the aid of modern tools? Mainstream archaeology offers a range of explanations. Many Cyclopean walls are believed to have served defensive purposes, enclosing settlements or protecting strategic locations. Others may have delineated ceremonial spaces, agricultural terraces, or trade routes. Carbon dating and associated artifacts suggest that some of these structures were built thousands of years ago, in eras when local societies were evolving complex social and political organizations. Yet, the enormity of some stones, the precision with which they are fitted together, and the vast scale of certain constructions continue to defy straightforward explanation. Could simple defensive or practical needs fully account for the ambition and sophistication displayed here? One of the most compelling examples lies in the highlands of Ethiopia, where walls stretch across ridges and cliffs, creating terraces that seem almost impossible to imagine being constructed by hand. The largest stones are sometimes so massive that modern engineers struggle to envision the methods used to transport them. In southern Africa, similar walls form extensive enclosures, their contours echoing the natural terrain in ways that suggest both technical ingenuity and aesthetic sensibility. Across these regions, the walls reveal a recurring theme: human determination to impose structure, order, and perhaps meaning upon a landscape otherwise wild and untamed. The arrangement of these stones hints at more than mere practicality. In several locations, walls appear aligned with cardinal points or oriented toward natural features such as rivers, mountains, or valleys. Some researchers propose that this alignment indicates knowledge of astronomy or a system for marking seasons, much like the stone circles of North Africa or the Inca terraces in the Andes. If so, these structures represent not just monumental labor, but an intellectual achievement, a civilization capable of observing, recording, and manipulating environmental and celestial phenomena on a large scale. Fringe theories have also emerged, fueled by the mystery of construction methods and the precision of stone placement. Some speculate that the builders may have possessed techniques or technologies now lost to history, perhaps harnessing mechanical principles, sophisticated surveying, or even unknown forms of communal organization. Others suggest that certain walls were not merely defensive or agricultural, but ceremonial, designed to channel spiritual or energetic forces across the landscape, connecting human settlements with the land in ways we can scarcely comprehend. While these ideas remain speculative, they highlight the profound sense of mystery that surrounds these ancient structures. The labor required to construct these walls invites further reflection. Without wheels, pulleys, or draft animals capable of hauling the largest stones, ancient builders relied on human ingenuity, organization, and sheer perseverance. Could these projects have been the work of local communities over generations, each contributing to a monumental legacy? Or was there some centralized authority orchestrating labor, resources, and knowledge in ways that remain invisible to us? And if so, how did such societies sustain themselves while accomplishing feats that, even by today's standards, demand extraordinary engineering skill? Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the Cyclopean walls is their endurance. In some regions, the stones remain nearly perfectly intact, their weight and placement defying erosion and collapse. In others, walls rise partially from overgrown earth, their scale suggested more by imagination than visible form. These remnants, silent and monumental, hint at societies whose social, technical, and cultural achievements were significant, yet whose names and stories have largely vanished. What historical forces led to their decline, and why do so few written records survive to tell their story? As the sun dips low across Africa's varied landscapes, the walls cast long shadows that stretch across hills, valleys, and terraces. Standing beside them, one cannot help but feel a profound sense of connection to the past, to the ingenuity and determination of people who, thousands of years ago, moved mountains in pursuit of survival, identity, or perhaps something greater. Were these walls purely practical, or did they encode spiritual, astronomical, or social knowledge lost to history? And if these constructions remain enigmatic today, what other monumental achievements, quietly hidden across Africa's vast and varied terrain, await discovery? The Cyclopean walls, in their scale, precision, and mystery, challenge us to rethink assumptions about prehistoric societies. They suggest that the human drive to shape the world, physically, intellectually, and spiritually, has ancient roots, reaching far beyond the civilizations we traditionally celebrate. And yet, despite centuries of study, the walls continue to guard their secrets, inviting us to explore, to question, and to imagine the stories of the people who built them and the knowledge they possessed. In the silence between these massive stones, the past speaks softly, reminding us that much of human history remains veiled, waiting for careful eyes to uncover its enduring mysteries. From the monumental stone walls scattered across Africa, where human hands shaped vast landscapes into enduring fortifications, we now travel eastward across continents, to the fertile plains of the Indus River, where another ancient marvel quietly whispers its secrets. Mohenjo-daro. Here, amidst the shifting currents of history and the ever-present dust of time, lie the ruins of a city that once pulsed with life, trade, and innovation, yet whose story remains tantalizingly incomplete. The name itself, Mohenjo-daro, meaning Mound of the Dead, evokes both awe and melancholy, a fitting prelude to the mysteries that endure within its brick-lined streets. Approaching the site, one is struck by the scale and planning of the city. Unlike many prehistoric settlements, Mohenjo-daro was built with remarkable uniformity. Streets laid out in precise grids, large public baths at the heart of the city, and residential blocks divided with an almost modern sense of organization. The city is estimated to have housed tens of thousands of inhabitants at its peak, around 2500 BCE, making it one of the earliest examples of urban planning in human history. Its bricks, carefully molded and fired, fit together with precision, forming walls, platforms, and drainage systems that continue to function, in part, even millennia later. One cannot help but wonder, how did a civilization so ancient conceive of urban planning with such sophistication, and what knowledge guided their construction methods? Archaeological investigations have revealed a society remarkably advanced for its time. Mohenjo-daro's inhabitants developed complex sanitation and drainage systems with covered sewers and private baths integrated into domestic architecture. Artifacts suggest skilled craftsmanship in pottery, beadwork, and metallurgy, while trade networks extended across the subcontinent and beyond, connecting this city with distant regions. These findings indicate not only technical proficiency, but also social organization and communal foresight. And yet, for all its achievements, Mohenjo-daro presents questions that remain unresolved. How did this city, so meticulously designed, decline so rapidly? What catastrophic events, or perhaps subtle, systemic pressures, led to its abandonment, leaving behind streets, walls, and baths for modern archaeologists to uncover? The architecture itself raises further intrigue. The Great Bath, a massive rectangular pool lined with carefully fitted bricks, suggests a society deeply concerned with ritual, purification, or public life. Some scholars interpret it as a center for communal gatherings or religious ceremonies, yet the absence of written records makes definitive conclusions impossible. Other structures, such as granaries and fortified platforms, hint at both practical planning and hierarchical organization, yet the societal framework of Mohenjo-daro remains largely mysterious. Could these public works indicate a centralized authority, or did the city emerge through collaborative, community-driven efforts? And if the latter, what motivated a population to coordinate on such a scale without the coercive apparatus typically associated with monumental construction? Mainstream explanations emphasize practical necessity. The city's layout and drainage were designed to cope with seasonal flooding of the Indus River, while fortifications may have protected against external threats. Yet some features resist straightforward interpretation. Certain streets and alleys form patterns that seem almost symbolic, while some platforms and walls appear too carefully constructed for mere utility. Could these elements reflect a deeper understanding of spatial design, cosmology, or even metaphysical principles? And if so, how did such knowledge emerge in a city whose written language, the Indus script, remains undeciphered, leaving us with glimpses of meaning but no clear translation? The mystery deepens when considering the abrupt decline of Mohenjo-daro. Unlike civilizations that fade gradually, this city seems to have been abandoned relatively suddenly. Scholars debate potential causes: climatic shifts, catastrophic flooding, shifts in trade routes, or even epidemics. Yet no single explanation fully accounts for the scale, sophistication, and sudden disappearance of a civilization that once thrived in such abundance. Could there have been social, cultural, or spiritual factors, now lost, that influenced the city's fate? Or might there have been knowledge or practices so integral to their society that, once disrupted, the urban fabric itself could not survive? Fringe theories abound, though they remain speculative. Some suggest that Mohenjo-daro's meticulous urban design may have encoded astronomical or geomantic knowledge, mapping the heavens or the earth in ways we no longer perceive. Others propose connections to distant cultures, hinting at ancient networks of trade, knowledge, or ritual that extended far beyond the Indus Valley. While such theories cannot be proven, they underscore the profound sense of mystery surrounding the city. Here lies a civilization that mastered engineering, sanitation, and urban planning, yet left behind no readable records to explain its purpose, its organization, or its sudden disappearance. Standing among the ruins today, the silence is almost tangible. Dust drifts across the sun-baked bricks, and the wind carries echoes of a civilization that once thrived with life, commerce, and ceremony. One can imagine children running along the grid-like streets, merchants negotiating in shaded courtyards, priests performing rituals in the Great Bath, and artisans shaping beads, pottery, and tools with patient care. Yet much of their existence remains invisible, their knowledge buried in the mounds that give the site its name. Perhaps what makes Mohenjo-daro so haunting is the combination of mastery and enigma. The city demonstrates technical genius, societal organization, and visionary urban planning, yet it speaks through silence as much as through bricks and artifacts. How did a society so advanced emerge so early in human history? What secrets are hidden in the patterns of streets, walls, and platforms? And most provocatively, what might remain undiscovered beneath the layers of Earth, waiting to reveal further insight into a civilization that continues to challenge our assumptions about the origins of urban life? As the sun sets over the plains of the Indus, casting long shadows across the ancient streets, Mohenjo-daro stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring mysteries of the past. Its perfectly aligned bricks and complex layouts invite us to reflect not only on what humans are capable of, but also on what remains beyond our understanding. What stories lie buried in these mounds? And if we were to unlock the secrets of Mohenjo-daro, what might it reveal about the dawn of civilization itself, and the knowledge that our ancestors possessed, only to leave it for time to guard? From the meticulously laid streets and sun-baked bricks of Mohenjo-daro, where ancient urban planning speaks volumes through silence, we now ascend thousands of meters into the rugged highlands of Peru, to a site that seems almost to defy both gravity and comprehension: Sacsayhuamán. Perched above the city of Cusco, the former capital of the Inca Empire, this monumental complex dominates the landscape, its massive stones stacked in staggering precision, forming walls, terraces, and ramparts that have resisted centuries of earthquakes, weather, and human curiosity. Approaching Sacsayhuamán, one is immediately struck by the scale and craftsmanship of its construction. The stones, some weighing over 100 tons, fit together with such exactness that not even a blade of grass can be inserted between them. Their jagged, irregular shapes interlock like a three-dimensional puzzle, and yet the walls rise in tiers that curve gracefully along the contours of the mountain ridge. The sheer effort required to quarry, transport, and fit these stones in such a precise arrangement is almost unfathomable, particularly given that the Inca had no iron tools, wheels, or draft animals capable of handling such immense loads. How did they achieve this extraordinary feat? What knowledge, techniques, or methods have been lost to time, leaving only the silent stones as testimony to human ingenuity? Sacsayhuamán's purpose has been debated for centuries. Scholars generally agree it served both defensive and ceremonial roles: a fortress protecting the city below, and a sacred space where rituals and gatherings occurred. Its massive walls form a zigzag pattern, perhaps designed to thwart invaders, while wide plazas and terraces suggest the presence of processions, ceremonies, or astronomical observations. Yet, as we look closer, questions arise that challenge straightforward explanations. How could a society without modern machinery move stones of such colossal weight up steep slopes and position them with millimeter-level precision? Was the site purely practical, or was there a deeper symbolic dimension guiding its design? Could the curves and alignments of the walls encode knowledge of the stars, the sun, or even the sacred geography of the Andes? Archaeological studies confirm that Sacsayhuamán was constructed in stages, evolving over decades, perhaps centuries, under the direction of skilled engineers and laborers. Its design reflects sophisticated understanding of stability, leverage, and seismic resistance, which explains why it has survived some of the most powerful earthquakes in Peruvian history. The precision of stone placement and the interlocking technique suggest a knowledge of physics and geometry that seems advanced even by modern standards. Yet, despite these insights, much about the construction remains enigmatic. What tools or techniques allowed the Inca to shape, lift, and position stones of such magnitude without metal machinery? How did they coordinate the labor and logistics required to complete a project of this scale, in a time before written records or modern project management? Adding to the mystery are subtle, yet compelling, anomalies in the site. Some stones appear to have been shaped to fit natural irregularities in the rock rather than cut into regular blocks, suggesting a harmony with the landscape that is both practical and symbolic. Certain walls align with prominent mountains, rivers, or celestial events, hinting at an intentional integration of the built and natural environments. Could these alignments reflect a sophisticated understanding of astronomy or a cosmological worldview in which the land itself was imbued with spiritual significance? And if so, how much of this knowledge was encoded in the very stones themselves, waiting for observers to decipher across centuries? Fringe theories surrounding Sacsayhuamán add layers of intrigue. Some propose that the precision and size of the stones indicate lost technologies or methods of moving and manipulating massive objects beyond our current understanding. Others suggest that the site may have served as a repository of ancient knowledge, a spiritual or energetic hub designed to connect human activity with cosmic forces. While these theories cannot be verified, they underscore the sense of mystery that surrounds the site. Sacsayhuamán is a place where technical mastery, spiritual intention, and the raw power of nature converge, leaving us to marvel at human ambition and question what we think we know about ancient civilizations. Walking along the zigzagging walls, one can almost imagine the rhythm of ancient life, workers hauling stones with ropes and manpower, priests performing rituals in terraces and plazas, and the city of Cusco buzzing quietly below. The complexity and scale of the site suggest a society capable not only of physical feats, but of remarkable social organization. Yet despite centuries of study, we cannot fully reconstruct the worldview, techniques, or intentions of its builders. How much has been lost to time, vegetation, and conquest? And what secrets remain hidden within the massive stones and their intricate placement? Perhaps what makes Sacsayhuamán most compelling is its dual nature. It is at once tangible and enigmatic, functional and symbolic, ancient and timeless. Its walls tell a story of human ingenuity, coordination, and artistic vision, yet they leave as many questions as they answer. What inspired the builders to undertake such an ambitious project? How did they integrate engineering, art, and spirituality into a single monumental vision? And beyond the stones themselves, what knowledge, traditions, or beliefs might still lie hidden, waiting for those with patience and insight to uncover them? As the sun sets over the Andean peaks, casting long shadows across the terraces and walls, Sacsayhuamán stands as both a testament and a challenge, a monument to human capability, and a reminder that much of the past remains beyond our grasp. The massive stones, interlocked with precision, seem to whisper across time, inviting reflection, curiosity, and wonder. How many stories lie embedded in these walls, and what truths might they reveal about the ingenuity and spiritual vision of the Inca civilization, if only we can learn to read them? From the jagged peaks and interlocking stones of Sacsayhuamán, where Inca mastery left walls that defy explanation, we now cross the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean to a place where the sea itself seems to guard secrets of ancient ambition. Here, off the eastern coast of Pohnpei, in the Federated States of Micronesia, lie the ruins of Nan Madol, a city built not upon solid land but upon a network of small artificial islets, rising from the lagoon like a stone archipelago scattered across tranquil waters. Mist drifts over the ruins in the early morning, and the black basalt walls, some towering several meters, seem to emerge from the sea, each block placed with careful intent, yet leaving behind questions that have perplexed explorers, archaeologists, and travelers for centuries. Approaching Nan Madol, the first impression is one of both scale and otherworldliness. Over 90 small islets, separated by narrow canals, form the core of the city, giving it a striking resemblance to a Venice of the Pacific. The walls that encircle these islets are constructed from massive basalt logs, some weighing more than 50 tons, and are arranged in a crisscross pattern that has allowed them to endure centuries of tropical storms and rising tides. The stones are not simply stacked. They fit together with remarkable precision, forming terraces, platforms, and enclosures that suggest advanced planning and engineering acumen. How did a society in a remote island environment manipulate such colossal stones without wheels, draft animals, or metal tools? How did they transport these blocks across water and coral reefs, placing them with such accuracy in a location that challenges even modern logistics? Archaeological studies date Nan Madol's construction to around the 8th or 9th century CE, though some evidence suggests that its foundations may be older. The site served as a political and ceremonial capital of the Sodalur dynasty, a line of rulers whose authority extended over much of Pohnpei. Within its islets, scholars have identified residential compounds, ceremonial platforms, tombs, and what appear to be administrative centers. This points to a highly organized society, capable of complex governance, long-distance planning, and resource management in an environment both constrained and challenging. Yet, for all the studies conducted, many aspects of Nan Madol remain mysterious. How could an isolated island society develop such urban sophistication? And how much knowledge, engineering, astronomical, or ritualistic, has been lost beneath the waves and mangroves that now surround the ruins? The construction techniques themselves are a source of intrigue. Basalt columns were cut from distant quarries, some kilometers inland, and transported to the lagoon. Oral traditions speak of human effort aided by ingenuity, but the sheer scale of these operations leaves room for speculation. Some researchers suggest sophisticated methods of leverage, rafts, and coordinated labor, yet the precision with which the stones were fitted suggests more than brute force. It hints at a deep understanding of weight distribution, material properties, and structural stability. Could the builders have had methods that remain unknown to modern engineers? And if so, why has such knowledge vanished, leaving only the enigmatic ruins to testify to human capability? Nan Madol's layout adds to its enigmatic character. The city is divided into distinct sectors, some reserved for elite residences, others for ceremonial purposes, while certain islets appear to function as tombs or sacred spaces. The canals, carefully dredged and maintained, provided transportation and possibly defense, while also echoing a symbolic relationship between land, water, and ritual. Some researchers have suggested astronomical alignments embedded in the city's design, though much remains speculative. Was Nan Madol intended to be merely functional, or did its planners encode cosmological or spiritual principles into its very structure, making the city itself a reflection of the heavens and the sacred ocean? Adding to the mystery is the abrupt decline of the Sodalur dynasty and the eventual abandonment of Nan Madol. Oral histories speak of social upheaval, political strife, and perhaps even supernatural intervention, though archaeological evidence points to environmental factors as well: soil depletion, changing water levels, and the challenges of maintaining such a labor-intensive urban network. The combination of human and natural forces may have rendered the city unsustainable, yet the speed and finality of its abandonment remain puzzling. How could a society capable of monumental engineering and centralized governance disappear so completely, leaving behind a complex city, carefully designed and fully formed, to succumb to the elements and the passage of time? Fringe theories abound, fueled by the site's isolation and extraordinary construction. Some suggest that Nan Madol may have been designed with knowledge of tides, currents, and possibly even geomagnetic principles, encoded in the placement of stones and the orientation of canals. Others propose more speculative ideas: lost technologies, distant influences from other Pacific cultures, or even knowledge of energy and resonance unknown to modern science. While these theories cannot be verified, they underscore the sense of awe and mystery that Nan Madol inspires. Standing among its basalt walls, one senses not just human ingenuity, but a deliberate ambition to create a city that integrates seamlessly with its environment, defying conventional expectations of what an island society could achieve. Walking along the raised causeways connecting the islets, it is possible to imagine the rhythm of ancient life. Canoes gliding along narrow canals, priests performing rituals in shadowed platforms, the sounds of labor as stones were transported and fitted, and the administrative activity of rulers overseeing governance and trade. And yet, much of this life remains silent, recorded only in the stones, the layout of the islets, and the whispers of oral tradition. What knowledge, techniques, or practices might lie hidden beneath the overgrown causeways or in the submerged foundations of this aquatic city? Perhaps the most compelling aspect of Nan Madol is the way it blends the tangible and the intangible. It is at once a city of monumental engineering, a political center, and a ritual landscape intertwined with the ocean. Yet it carries a profound sense of enigma. Every basalt block, every canal, every islet invites contemplation of human ambition, ingenuity, and the impermanence of civilizations. How did a society, isolated in the vast Pacific, achieve such mastery over material, space, and environment? And if we are only beginning to understand their methods, what other secrets might remain hidden, submerged or obscured by the centuries, waiting to reveal themselves to those who seek them? As the sun dips toward the horizon, casting golden light over the black basalt walls and shimmering waters of the lagoon, Nan Madol stands as a testament to human vision and a challenge to our assumptions about the past. It is a place where the sea and the stones converse in silence, where labor and ingenuity meet mystery, and where the limits of understanding are stretched by the enormity of what has been achieved. What further secrets lie beneath the surface of these islets, and how much of the city's story has been lost to time, tides, and memory? Nan Madol reminds us that even in our modern age, there remain places in the world that invite wonder, reflection, and profound curiosity about the ingenuity of our ancestors. From the ocean-bound islets and basalt causeways of Nan Madol, where the sea and human ingenuity meet in a silent, enduring dialogue, we now journey to the dense, humid jungles of Southeast Asia, where another ancient city rises almost as if it were emerging from the mist itself, Angkor Wat. Stretching across the plains of northern Cambodia, this monumental temple complex dominates the landscape with its intricate towers, vast courtyards, and endless galleries of carved stone. In the early morning light, the sandstone walls shimmer, reflecting pools mirror its towering spires, and the air is thick with the fragrance of tropical foliage, a setting both breathtakingly beautiful and profoundly enigmatic. Angkor Wat, originally constructed in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, is widely recognized as the largest religious monument in the world. Its design reflects the pinnacle of Khmer architectural skill, a marriage of grand vision and painstaking detail. The central sanctuary rises like a mountain, symbolically representing Mount Meru, the sacred axis of the universe in Hindu cosmology. Surrounding it are concentric galleries, long corridors adorned with bas-reliefs, and moats that both protect and sanctify. From a distance, the city appears meticulously ordered, yet the closer one examines its stonework, the more complexity emerges, an almost labyrinthine harmony of geometry, symbolism, and spatial design. How did the Khmer architects conceive such precision and scale in an era before modern engineering, surveying tools, or concrete technology? The artistry of Angkor Wat is immediately evident in its carvings and bas-reliefs. Endless walls depict epic scenes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, processions of celestial beings, and intricate depictions of daily life and mythological battles. Scholars marvel at the depth of storytelling, the exacting symmetry, and the technical skill required to carve such detail into blocks weighing several tons. But even as we appreciate these achievements, questions arise. How did the builders maintain alignment and proportion across structures stretching over a square kilometer? How did they manage the logistics of moving sandstone blocks, quarried from distant sites, across a landscape interlaced with rivers, swamps, and dense forest? The answers hint at not only technical knowledge but sophisticated organization and social coordination on a scale that rivals any contemporary endeavor. Mainstream archaeology emphasizes the practical and religious functions of Angkor Wat. It served as both a state temple and a political statement, reinforcing the king's divine authority while acting as a center of ritual, astronomy, and administration. The moats and reservoirs, part of an extensive hydraulic system, provided water for the city, sustained agriculture, and may have helped protect against flooding. Yet, the more we study these systems, the more layers of mystery unfold. Some aspects of the water management and city layout suggest knowledge of hydrodynamics and environmental engineering that seems remarkably advanced for the time. Could the planners have possessed techniques now lost, or insights into the natural environment that modern scientists are only beginning to rediscover? The scale and precision of Angkor Wat invite further speculation. Its walls, galleries, and towers align with celestial events, including solstices and equinoxes, suggesting an astronomical awareness intertwined with religious observance. Some researchers propose that the complex was designed not only as a physical monument, but as a symbolic map of the cosmos, a terrestrial reflection of divine order. If so, Angkor Wat is as much a cosmological statement as it is an architectural one, a three-dimensional embodiment of spiritual and political power. And yet, much of the symbolism remains opaque. What messages were encoded in the carvings, the alignments, and the proportions? What knowledge was held by those who built it, and how much has been obscured by centuries of environmental change, conflict, and decay? Adding to the intrigue is the sudden decline of the Angkorian Empire. Once a thriving city of hundreds of thousands, supporting a sophisticated agrarian and urban system, Angkor was gradually abandoned in the 15th century. The reasons remain debated. Ecological stress, shifts in river courses, foreign invasions, or internal social upheaval may have played a role. Yet the sheer scale of the city and the sophistication of its infrastructure leaves one questioning how such a civilization could rise to such heights and then fade, leaving its monumental temples to stand silently in the encroaching jungle. What knowledge, skills, or organizational frameworks were lost as the city was abandoned? And what can these ruins tell us about the fragility of human achievement in the face of natural and societal forces? Fringe theories surrounding Angkor Wat add further layers of fascination. Some suggest that certain architectural anomalies and stone arrangements indicate lost technologies or advanced mathematical knowledge. Others speculate that the city encodes hidden messages, secret rituals, or celestial calendars that we have yet to fully decipher. While these ideas cannot be verified, they highlight a critical point. Angkor Wat is more than a temple. It is a testament to the human desire to encode meaning, to harmonize with the cosmos, and to leave an enduring mark upon the earth. Each massive stone, each intricately carved relief, and each precisely aligned tower speaks to both the capabilities and the ambitions of a people who sought to bridge the earthly and the divine. Walking through its galleries and along its causeways, one can imagine the life that once filled Angkor Wat. Priests performing rituals in long-forgotten languages, artisans chiseling stone under the tropical sun, water flowing through reservoirs to nourish rice fields, and citizens moving along causeways connecting the city's many temples. And yet, the site remains silent, its stories encoded in stone, awaiting discovery by those who can interpret the subtleties of alignment, symbolism, and construction. How much of the Khmer worldview is still hidden in these walls? How much knowledge, mathematical, astronomical, or spiritual, remains waiting to be uncovered by careful study? Perhaps what makes Angkor Wat so compelling is its combination of scale, precision, and mystery. It is at once monumental and intimate, earthly and divine, practical and symbolic. Its enduring stones invite reflection on human ingenuity and ambition, while the unanswered questions about construction techniques, societal organization, and encoded knowledge invite curiosity and awe. How did a civilization, thriving nearly a millennium ago in a challenging tropical environment, accomplish such a feat of architecture, planning, and symbolism? And what further secrets might the jungle still guard, obscured by centuries of vegetation, time, and shifting rivers? As the sun dips behind the spires, casting elongated shadows over reflecting pools and sandstone galleries, Angkor Wat stands as both a monument and a mystery. It is a place where the ingenuity of humankind confronts the passage of time, and where the silent stones seem to whisper across centuries, inviting us to wonder not only about the civilization that built it, but about the depths of knowledge, ambition, and vision that humanity has always carried. What remains hidden in the corridors, carvings, and celestial alignments of this ancient city, and what might it reveal about our capacity to shape the world, the cosmos, and the stories we leave behind? From the intricate stone corridors and reflecting pools of Angkor Wat, where architecture, spirituality, and human ingenuity intertwine in near-perfect harmony, we now turn our gaze westward, across continents and deserts, to the windswept plains of southwestern Iran. Here, nestled in the arid landscape of Khuzestan, rises a structure that stands apart in both form and purpose. Chogha Zanbil, one of the few surviving ziggurats outside Mesopotamia. Its massive, stepped terraces and mud brick walls appear almost sculpted from the earth itself, as if the very soil had been coaxed upward to form a monument that bridges heaven and earth. In the harsh light of the midday sun, the ochre bricks glow warmly, yet the silence of the surrounding plains adds a haunting, almost otherworldly quality, as though this ancient city exists in a timeless liminal space between past and present. Chogha Zanbil was constructed around 1250 BCE by the Elamite king Untashnaparisha as a religious center dedicated to the worship of the great god Inshushinak. It is widely regarded as one of the best preserved ziggurats in the world, a testament to both the technical skill and spiritual devotion of the Elamites. Its central pyramid rises in successive receding terraces, reaching a height estimated at over 50 meters, originally crowned by a sanctuary that was likely the focal point of complex religious rituals. Surrounding the ziggurat were numerous temples, administrative buildings, and walls forming concentric enclosures, each meticulously planned. Yet, despite centuries of study, the precise methods by which the Elamites engineered such a monumental structure remain only partially understood. How did a civilization without modern machinery transport and shape hundreds of thousands of mud bricks, some weighing more than a ton, to construct a pyramid of such scale and endurance? What knowledge of geometry, labor organization, or architectural principles guided their hands so precisely? Walking along the terraces, one notices that the bricks are not merely stacked. They are laid in complex bonding patterns, sometimes reinforced with bitumen or baked in ovens to resist erosion. Archaeologists have marveled at the ingenuity involved in making such a monumental mud brick structure withstand the harsh desert climate, particularly the torrential seasonal rains that could so easily erode unreinforced surfaces. The construction reflects both practical ingenuity and ceremonial intent. The ziggurat was designed to endure, to rise above the landscape, and to signal the presence of divine authority to all who approached. Yet, the precision and scale provoke further questions. How did the Elamites achieve such stability without mortar or advanced lifting tools? Were there lost techniques, now vanished with time, that enabled them to transport massive bricks and shape terraces with such accuracy? Chogha Zanbil was not merely an architectural achievement. It was a city of the sacred, a place where humans sought to connect with divine forces. The ziggurat's orientation and layout may hold astronomical significance. Some scholars suggest alignments with celestial bodies or the cycles of the sun, indicating a sophisticated understanding of cosmology. Could it be that the terraces were constructed not only as a religious focal point, but as a calendar, a celestial observatory, or a conduit for spiritual energy? If so, how much knowledge has been lost over millennia, buried beneath collapsed bricks and the shifting sands of time? Equally mysterious is the city's abrupt decline. Historical records suggest that Chogha Zanbil fell into disuse following the fall of the Elamite Empire, and its surrounding temples and enclosures were abandoned and partially dismantled. Unlike other monumental structures that were continuously used and modified, Chogha Zanbil was largely left to decay, a silent witness to the passage of centuries. Why would such a monumental, carefully constructed city be abandoned so completely? Was it political upheaval, environmental change, or religious transformation that sealed its fate? And what knowledge, rituals, or practices were lost when the terraces fell silent and the city was reclaimed by the desert? Fringe theories and speculative interpretations have naturally emerged, fueled by the ziggurat's isolation and enigmatic features. Some researchers suggest that the precise geometry, monumental scale, and orientation could indicate an advanced understanding of surveying and mathematics that is not fully accounted for in current archaeological models. Others have speculated that the structure may have served as more than a temple, a repository of ancient knowledge, a site for ritual energy, or even a symbolic representation of the cosmos in miniature. While these ideas remain speculative, they serve to underscore the profound sense of mystery that surrounds Chogha Zanbil. Here is a place where human ambition, spiritual devotion, and architectural mastery converge in a way that challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. Walking through the concentric enclosures, it is easy to imagine life at Chogha Zanbil. Priests conducting ceremonies in shaded sanctuaries, artisans shaping bricks under the desert sun, and processions winding around terraces in ritual observance. The ziggurat, at once functional, symbolic, and monumental, served as the heart of a civilization that thrived and then vanished, leaving only mud bricks and echoes of devotion behind. How much of the city's daily life, social structure, and religious practice can we reconstruct from the surviving remains? And how many details of its spiritual and technological achievements remain forever lost? Perhaps the most compelling aspect of Chogha Zanbil is its duality. It is at once solid and ephemeral, earthly and transcendent, monumental and intimate. The terraces and temples speak to the enduring ambition of a civilization seeking to create order, connection, and permanence, yet the decay and abandonment remind us that even the most extraordinary human endeavors are subject to the passage of time. What insights into Elamite society, religion, and engineering remain hidden in the ziggurat's bricks, corners, and terraces? And what broader truths about human creativity, ambition, and the desire to reach the divine can we glimpse in this silent desert city? As the late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the terraces, illuminating the ochre walls and the empty courtyards of Chogha Zanbil, the site seems almost to breathe with the memory of those who built it. It is a place of contemplation, of awe, and of lingering questions, a monument not only to human skill, but to the mysteries that endure even in the face of remarkable achievement. What further secrets lie buried beneath the bricks or hidden in the layout of this sacred city, waiting for explorers, archaeologists, or even the curious traveler to uncover? Chogha Zanbil reminds us that ancient civilizations often leave behind more questions than answers, challenging us to look deeper, to wonder more, and to acknowledge the vast expanse of what remains unknown. From the monumental terraces and sacred precincts of Chogha Zanbil, where the Elamite ziggurat rises like a testament to human devotion and architectural ingenuity, we now traverse the landscape to the rolling hills and rugged expanses of the Golan Heights. Here, in the heart of a stark, volcanic plateau, lies one of the most enigmatic megalithic sites in the world. Rujm el-Hiri, sometimes referred to as the Gilgal Rephaim, or the Stone Circle of the Giants. From a distance it appears deceptively simple, a series of concentric rings of rough-hewn basalt stones, punctuated by a tumulus at the center. Yet as one approaches, the scale, precision, and silent presence of these stones evoke an immediate sense of awe, as if one has stepped into a space deliberately designed to bridge the earthly and the cosmic. Rujm el-Hiri consists of more than 40 concentric stone circles, some extending over 150 meters in diameter, all centered around a massive cairn rising nearly 5 meters high. The stones themselves are unworked, their natural forms left intact, yet they are arranged with remarkable precision to form a labyrinthine geometry. Pathways radiate outward from the center, creating corridors and alignments that have invited speculation for decades. How and why did ancient builders transport these massive basalt boulders across uneven terrain? What knowledge guided their arrangement with such intentionality in a landscape that offers few natural cues for orientation? Archaeological estimates place the construction of Rujm el-Hiri between the 5th and 3rd millennia BCE, situating it firmly in the late Neolithic to early Bronze Age. Despite its antiquity, very little is known about the people who built it. Unlike other megalithic sites, there are no inscriptions, burial artifacts, or definitive cultural markers to provide clear context. Scholars have debated its function. Some suggest ritualistic purposes, others propose astronomical alignments or even proto-calendar systems. The central tumulus has been interpreted as a ceremonial focal point, but whether it held human remains or sacred objects remains uncertain. Could this site have been a place of worship, a celestial observatory, or a combination of both? And if so, what beliefs and knowledge were encoded in the very arrangement of stones? What distinguishes Rujm el-Hiri from other megalithic structures is its concentric, labyrinthine design. Unlike single stone circles or simple dolmens, the complex suggests an understanding of spatial geometry and possibly symbolism. Some researchers have proposed that the site aligns with solstices, equinoxes, or the lunar cycle, hinting at sophisticated observational knowledge. Could these ancient builders have used the rings as a tool for tracking celestial events, marking agricultural cycles, or orchestrating ritualistic ceremonies synchronized with the heavens? If so, what mathematical or astronomical insights might have guided their work, hidden from us by the mists of time? The construction itself raises further questions. Unlike ziggurats, which were built with mud brick and often reinforced with architectural innovations, Rujm el-Hiri relies solely on massive stones arranged without mortar or binding. The precision with which the stones form concentric circles and radiating pathways implies careful planning and labor coordination. How did these early societies achieve such cohesion in construction without advanced tools or formal surveying techniques? Were their methods now lost to history that allowed them to manipulate geometry, weight, and space in ways that still challenge our understanding? Adding to the intrigue are the layers of speculation surrounding Rujm el-Hiri's purpose. Some theories suggest it was a burial site, possibly honoring elite individuals or serving as a collective tomb, though no significant human remains have been recovered. Others propose it was an astronomical observatory, designed to predict eclipses or track seasonal changes. More fringe interpretations imagine the site as a place of energy, a ceremonial center aligned with the Earth's natural currents, or even a locus for spiritual or ritualistic power. While these ideas remain speculative, the site's sheer scale, deliberate geometry, and isolation create an undeniable sense of mystery. What knowledge, lost to millennia. Might these concentric stones have encoded, waiting for someone with insight or imagination to decipher? Walking among the rings, one can almost imagine the rituals that might have taken place. Processions along the stone corridors, the sound of chants echoing across the basalt, the central cairn serving as a focal point for ceremonies, and the alignment of the circles framing the rising sun or the full moon in sacred precision. And yet, these are but educated guesses, shadows of activity long since vanished. What did the builders see when they looked up at the sky from the center of these rings? And how did that vision shape their lives, their society, and their beliefs? Equally compelling is the site's interaction with the landscape. Rujm el-Hiri is not isolated in a flat plain. It occupies a volcanic plateau, surrounded by hills and natural features that may have been chosen deliberately. Its visibility from a distance suggests an intention for it to be seen, perhaps as a marker of sacred territory or a signal to neighboring communities. Could the location itself, in combination with the concentric stones, hold a significance lost to time, geographical, spiritual, or both? How did the interplay of landscape and construction enhance the site's power, its meaning, and its enduring mystery? Perhaps the most haunting aspect of Rujm el-Hiri is its silence. Unlike sites with inscriptions, artifacts, or ongoing cultural traditions, this stone labyrinth speaks only through its geometry and scale. It asks questions without offering answers. Who built this? Why these concentric circles? What knowledge guided the placement of each stone, and what has been lost to history? The site is both monumental and intimate, inviting contemplation of human ingenuity, the desire to connect with the cosmos, and the enduring enigma of societies that reached great heights, yet left no written record of their purpose. As the sun descends over the Golan Heights, casting long shadows across the concentric stones and the central cairn, Rujm el-Hiri stands as a silent testament to ambition, observation, and mystery. It reminds us that even in the earliest chapters of human history, societies engaged with space, time, and the heavens in ways that challenge our understanding. How many secrets lie encoded in the concentric circles and pathways, and what might they reveal about the spiritual, astronomical, or cultural knowledge of a people long vanished? Rujm el-Hiri is a place that continues to invite reflection, awe, and wonder, a reminder that the past often speaks more in silence than in words. From the concentric rings of basalt and silent corridors of Rujm el-Hiri, where human hands meticulously shaped landscapes in alignment with ritual and celestial intention, our journey now carries us to the gentle, rolling savannas of West Africa. Here, spanning the modern nations of Senegal and the Gambia, lie over 1,000 mysterious stone circles scattered across the earth, known collectively as the Senegambian stone circles. Unlike towering pyramids or monumental ziggurats, these megaliths rise modestly from the landscape, yet their quiet presence commands attention. In the soft morning light, the stones cast long, slender shadows across the reddish soil, as though they were reaching across time to hint at the lives, rituals, and intentions of people who lived centuries ago. The stone circles of Senegambia, dating from approximately the 3rd century BCE to the 16th century CE, are composed of laterite, granite, and sandstone monoliths. Arranged in patterns that range from single isolated circles to complex clusters of concentric formations, they vary in size from a few meters across to monumental spans of over 20 meters. Some circles contain central burial mounds, while others are surrounded by smaller stones forming radial patterns. Each cluster suggests careful planning and consistent use of orientation, yet the precise purpose and significance of these formations remain elusive. Why were these stones placed here, in this seemingly remote savanna, with such careful geometrical consideration? What messages or rituals were encoded in these arrangements that have been lost to the centuries? Archaeological studies indicate that the Senegambian stone circles were primarily used as burial sites. Excavations have revealed human remains, often accompanied by pottery, iron tools, and other grave goods, suggesting a culture that valued both commemoration and spiritual ritual. Yet even within this pragmatic interpretation, profound questions persist. Why construct such enduring markers for the dead, often in isolated locations? What social, political, or spiritual significance did these stone circles hold for the communities who built them? And how did these societies, operating without metal surveying tools or formal architectural guides, manage to achieve such consistency and scale across hundreds of sites spread across hundreds of kilometers? The precision and scale of the Senegambian circles invite reflection on both technical skill and cultural intention. Stones were not merely stacked or scattered, they were arranged in patterns that repeat across regions, suggesting shared knowledge, cultural cohesion, and an understanding of geometry that appears remarkably sophisticated. Some clusters demonstrate concentric rings surrounding central mounds, evoking labyrinthine structures similar, in principle if not in scale, to Rujm el-Hiri. Could these arrangements indicate ritual pathways, ceremonial movement, or symbolic representations of cosmology? If so, what aspects of the natural world, ancestral lineage, or celestial observation were guiding these constructions? Equally compelling is the relationship between the stones and the surrounding landscape. Many circles are positioned near water sources, elevated terrain, or other natural markers, implying intentional site selection that connected geography with ritual or spiritual practice. How much of the placement reflects practical considerations for burial and community, and how much reflects deeper symbolic, astronomical, or spiritual significance? Were these stones intended to align with celestial bodies, to mark seasonal transitions, or to serve as terrestrial mirrors of the cosmos? If so, what knowledge has been lost as time, erosion, and human activity have gradually altered the terrain? Fringe theories and speculative interpretations have also emerged, often inspired by the uniformity and sheer number of these megaliths. Some researchers have suggested that the stone circles were used as ritual observatories or proto-calendars, allowing ancient communities to track lunar cycles or solar movements. Others propose that the arrangements served as markers of social hierarchy, tribal territories, or sacred routes. Yet despite decades of study, no definitive answers exist, leaving the site shrouded in mystery. The stones themselves seem to guard their secrets, silent witnesses to ceremonies, burials, and possibly knowledge that has vanished with the passage of generations. Walking among the stones, one senses a quiet ritual rhythm embedded in the earth. Imagine the movements of people, priests, elders, or community members, circling the monoliths in ceremonial processions, speaking words that no longer survive, or laying offerings upon the central mounds to honor ancestors and ensure cosmic harmony. The circles, in their stillness, evoke a dialogue between the human and the eternal, the living and the dead, the known and the unknowable. And yet, beyond what has been uncovered in excavations, how much remains hidden? What social, religious, or astronomical knowledge guided the arrangement of these stones? And what insights into the lives and beliefs of these ancient people can we yet recover? The Senegambian stone circles also pose a challenge to modern understanding of pre-colonial West African societies. Often, African history is viewed through the lens of written records, yet these megaliths remind us that monumental cultural expression does not always leave textual traces. Here is a people who left no written account of their achievements, yet whose ingenuity and spiritual vision endure in stone, visible to all who seek to interpret their intent. How many civilizations have similarly left behind only silent markers, waiting for later generations to glimpse their knowledge, creativity, and beliefs? Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the Senegambian circles is their sheer abundance and repetition. Thousands of stones spread across hundreds of sites, yet each site possesses unique features, subtle variations, and enigmatic design choices. Why did so many communities adopt this practice, and what collective knowledge or cultural memory sustained it across centuries? How much of the ritual, social, and spiritual framework has been obscured by time, erosion, and human activity? And what might these stones still reveal to those willing to study their alignment, arrangement, and context with patience and care? As the sun sets over the savanna, casting elongated shadows across the stone circles and illuminating their weathered surfaces in gold and amber light, the Senegambian sites evoke a profound sense of quiet awe. They are neither pyramids nor ziggurats, yet they embody the same human desire to impose order on the landscape, to commemorate, and to communicate across generations. What further secrets might lie buried in the earth, hidden in the subtle geometry of these circles, or waiting to be uncovered in careful archaeological study? And what might they reveal about the vision, beliefs, and sophistication of the communities that once walked among these stones, leaving behind silent monuments that continue to challenge, inspire, and captivate us? From the scattered stone circles of Senegambia, where monoliths rise quietly across the savanna as silent witnesses to ancestral rituals and social memory, we now journey eastward across the rolling highlands of Ethiopia to a site of equally enigmatic presence: Tiya. Nestled amid undulating plains dotted with acacia trees and grassy knolls, Tiya is home to an extraordinary collection of standing stones, stelae, that have fascinated scholars and travelers alike. These stones, each carved with geometric patterns, enigmatic symbols, and occasionally depictions of human figures, rise from the earth like sentinels of a long-forgotten world. In the soft morning light, their shadows stretch across the grass, forming a quiet network of lines and shapes, hinting at intentions, stories, or beliefs that have long since faded from living memory. Tiya consists of at least 36 standing stones, most of them marked with intricate incised symbols, including swords, circles, and human-like figures, their meaning still debated by archaeologists. The stones vary in size, some towering over 3 meters, others more modest, yet all share a remarkable sense of deliberate placement and alignment. Many of the stelae appear to be arranged in clusters, suggesting an awareness of spatial design, perhaps in relation to the landscape, celestial events, or social structures. How did ancient communities in this region decide upon such precise positioning? And what knowledge guided their hands in transforming raw stone into monumental symbols that could endure for centuries? The dating of Tiya's stelae remains challenging, though most estimates place their construction between the 10th and 15th centuries CE, situating them within the later phases of Ethiopia's prehistoric and early historic periods. Despite this relatively recent chronology compared to other megalithic structures, the stelae evoke an enduring mystery. Who were the people who erected them, and why? Archaeological excavations in the vicinity have uncovered graves, suggesting that the stones may have served as markers for burial sites or memorials for significant individuals. Yet the lack of inscriptions or written records leaves the symbolic language of the carvings largely undeciphered. Were these markers for the elite, for warriors, for spiritual leaders, or for an entire community? Or did they represent an abstract cosmological system encoded in stone for reasons we may never fully understand? The carvings themselves are a study in ambiguity and intention. Many stelae display sword-like motifs, while others feature concentric circles or patterns resembling shields. Some show simple anthropomorphic figures, their proportions stylized, yet evocative of human presence. Scholars debate whether these motifs signify martial power, spiritual authority, ritual significance, or ancestral veneration. Could the sword-like symbols indicate that the people of Tiya were commemorating warriors or engaging in protective rites? Or might they represent something more symbolic, perhaps a form of visual language or cosmology encoded in stone? The ambiguity invites contemplation. These are not merely markers of the dead, but potentially records of thought, belief, and culture, frozen in form, yet alive in imagination. The placement of the stelae also suggests deliberate interaction with the landscape. Some stones are aligned along sight lines, possibly corresponding to topographical features, celestial events, or ritual pathways. Could these alignments have functioned as observatories, ceremonial routes, or spiritual conduits, linking the living community with ancestors or cosmic forces? Unlike the rigid geometric precision of stone circles in West Africa or the monumental scale of ziggurats and pyramids, Tiya's stelae possess a quiet, understated complexity. Their arrangement encourages a different kind of contemplation, one that blends human memory, sacred geography, and the passage of time. Equally compelling is the question of construction. The stelae are carved from locally available sandstone, yet the skill involved in shaping and transporting these stones indicates specialized knowledge and labor organization. How did these communities move such massive stones, align them with such care, and inscribe them with patterns of lasting significance without the mechanical advantages we take for granted today? What level of social coordination, technical understanding, and spiritual motivation was required to transform raw rock into these enduring symbols? Fringe interpretations, often inspired by the stelae's isolation and enigmatic carvings, suggest that Tiya may have been more than a cemetery or memorial. Some have proposed astronomical or cosmological functions, theorizing that the stelae encode knowledge of the sun, moon, or stars, serving as a map of celestial movements or a guide for agricultural cycles. Others speculate that the stones functioned as spiritual gateways, linking the physical world with ancestral or supernatural realms. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the sense of mystery that pervades the site. Tiya is a place where human intention, belief, and imagination converge in enduring stone. Walking among the stelae, one cannot help but sense a rhythm and presence that transcends the centuries. Imagine processions tracing pathways between the stones, prayers or songs uttered in the highlands, and the careful placement of grave goods as offerings to the departed. The stelae, silent and enduring, suggest that these rituals were of profound importance to the community. Yet the meaning of the symbols and the structure of their ceremonies remain largely hidden. What do the carvings tell us about the social hierarchy, spiritual beliefs, or cosmological understanding of the people who raised them? How much cultural memory is embedded in each line, each circle, and each anthropomorphic figure, waiting for us to decipher it? Perhaps the most compelling element of Tiya is its combination of permanence and enigma. The stones are immovable, yet the knowledge they represent has largely vanished. They stand as both memorials to the dead and testaments to human ingenuity, yet their deeper meaning remains tantalizingly out of reach. How much of the social, spiritual, or astronomical knowledge has been lost, and how much might still be recoverable through careful study, observation, or intuition? Could these stelae, like the stone circles of Senegambia or the concentric rings of Rujm el-Hiri, reflect an understanding of the cosmos, life, and death that challenges our modern assumptions about ancient societies? As the afternoon sun casts long shadows across the Tiya Stelae, illuminating the intricate carvings and emphasizing the contours of each standing stone, the site evokes a profound sense of connection and mystery. It is a place that invites reflection, a site where the interplay of earth, stone, and human intention resonates across centuries. What further secrets lie encoded in these stelae, and what might they reveal about the beliefs, knowledge, and aspirations of the people who raised them? Tiya reminds us that even in landscapes far removed from pyramids, ziggurats, or monumental temples, ancient humans were capable of profound symbolic expression, leaving behind mysteries that continue to challenge and inspire us today. Nestled on the gentle slopes of the Panagitsa Hill near the ancient city of Mycenae, the Treasury of Atreus rises quietly against the horizon, a silent monument to an age long past. Its entrance, a broad and imposing doorway framed by carefully cut stones, opens onto a passageway that seems almost to breathe with the weight of centuries. The structure, dating back to roughly 1250 BCE, is no ordinary tomb. Its grandeur, even by the standards of Mycenaean architecture, commands attention. The circular tholos, or beehive-shaped tomb, looms not merely as a resting place for kings or nobles, but as a statement of power, skill, and perhaps something more enigmatic. From the moment one steps closer, the Treasury of Atreus exudes a sense of calculated precision. Its stones, some weighing tens of tons, fit together with a meticulousness that defies casual effort. The approach is framed by a long dromos, a narrow passageway cut deep into the earth, leading the visitor gradually into darkness. Here, in the silence, the enormity of human ambition becomes tangible. How could people, without the aid of modern machinery, have moved these massive blocks with such accuracy? The question lingers as inevitably as the shadows that play across the tomb's facade during the setting sun. The tholos itself is an architectural marvel. Its dome, rising from a circular base, narrows seamlessly towards the apex, culminating in what is known as the relieving triangle, an ingenious structural feature designed to channel weight away from the lintel above the doorway. The effect is subtle yet profound. The tomb appears both weighty and impossibly light at the same time. The interior, though stripped of its original treasures, hints at what must have been an opulent resting place. Gold, ivory, and intricate carvings once adorned this chamber, and even in its emptiness, the careful design conveys a reverence for the dead, for status, and perhaps for something beyond the ordinary. Yet, for all its architectural brilliance, the Treasury of Atreus poses puzzles that continue to defy straightforward explanation. Scholars have debated its purpose and construction for generations. Was it purely a royal tomb, designed to honor the dead and impress the living, or might it have held deeper, perhaps ritualistic significance? Its alignment with the surrounding landscape, the precision of its stones, and the sheer audacity of its scale hint at knowledge and skills that seem advanced even for the already sophisticated Mycenaeans. Some historians suggest that the techniques employed in the construction of the Treasury of Atreus represent the pinnacle of Mycenaean engineering. The perfectly fitted stones, the corbelled dome, the precision of the dromos. Each element demonstrates a level of understanding that would not be surpassed in Europe for more than a millennium. This has led to the conventional view that skilled artisans, using basic levers, ramps, and sheer manpower, achieved what might appear to modernize as impossible. And yet, there is a lingering unease that some other factor, now lost to time, may have played a role. Could there have been knowledge of forces or methods that we no longer recognize? The doorway, framed by massive lintels, invites a closer inspection. Each stone, though plain at first glance, tells a story of careful calculation. Scholars note that the geometry of the structure is remarkably precise, almost as if the tomb's creators had an intuitive understanding of forces and tension. In the quiet of the tholos, with only the echo of footsteps and the whisper of wind through the dromos, one begins to feel the scale not just of the structure, but of the civilization that conceived it. This was a people who could dream on a monumental scale, yet who left behind no written records explaining how or why these dreams took such exact form. Beyond the engineering marvel, there is an air of mystery surrounding the tomb's very name. the Treasury of Atreus. Ancient Greek tradition ties it to Atreus, the legendary king of Mycenae, though historical verification remains elusive. Myths intertwine with reality, leaving us with tantalizing fragments, stories of kings, curses, and dynasties that shaped the early Greek world. Did the tomb really belong to a single ruler, or is the attribution more symbolic, a reflection of how later generations interpreted the grandeur they found? The ambiguity deepens the intrigue, suggesting that what we see today is only a shadow of its original significance. Some modern investigators have speculated further, moving beyond the conventional historical and archaeological interpretations. The precise alignment of the tomb, the smoothness of its stones, and the apparent knowledge of long-term structural stability have led a few to propose that the Mycenaeans may have possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, geometry, or even acoustic engineering. Could the tomb have been designed not only as a resting place for the dead, but as a vessel for sound, light, or celestial observation? In the filtered light that enters the doorway, patterns of shadow and illumination seem almost deliberate, as though the builders intended a dialogue between the tomb and the sun or the changing seasons. Even the scale of the stones invites speculation. While we accept that levers and manpower could have moved these blocks, the sheer precision required to fit them without mortar is daunting. Could there have been tools, now lost, that made this task easier, or did the builders rely solely on skill honed over generations? The questions themselves deepen the sense of mystery. Every inch of stone, every curve of the dome seems to whisper a story that is just beyond reach, teasing us with the possibility that there is knowledge buried here that modern archaeology has yet to uncover. Walking through the Treasury of Atreus, one cannot help but feel the weight of centuries pressing in. The air seems charged with history, yet also with questions that resist easy answers. How did this civilization, more than 3 millennia ago, conceive of such a structure? What drove them to commit such extraordinary resources to a tomb? Was it reverence, ambition, or something more arcane, a hidden knowledge or ritual practice that has since vanished from human memory? In the end, the Treasury of Atreus remains both a testament and a riddle. Its stones endure, silent and immovable. Yet the answers they hold are elusive, lingering in shadows and myths, in geometry and light, in the very earth that cradles the tomb. We are left with the experience itself, the awe of standing before human ingenuity that seems to touch the divine, and the quiet recognition that, despite all we know about Mycenaean civilization, much still escapes our understanding. What was this place meant to be, beyond a tomb? What secrets have been lost to time, waiting patiently beneath the carefully fitted stones, whispering to those who would pause long enough to listen? As we step back from the entrance, feeling the weight and precision of the treasury in a way that photographs cannot convey, the mystery remains. Perhaps some truths about this ancient structure will never be revealed, leaving only the questions to echo across the centuries. And in that silence, one is reminded of the enduring allure of the unknown, the subtle invitation to imagine what might still be hidden beneath the earth, awaiting discovery or simply contemplation. As the sun rises over the rolling hills of southeastern Zimbabwe, a vast silhouette emerges against the horizon, a sprawling labyrinth of stone walls and towers that seems both ancient and impossibly enduring. This is Great Zimbabwe, the heart of a civilization whose name has echoed through centuries. From afar, the ruins appear almost otherworldly. Massive stone enclosures rise without mortar, the walls curving and tapering with an elegance that suggests both deliberate artistry and a deep understanding of structure. The largest stones, some weighing several tons, are stacked with remarkable precision, forming enclosures, passageways, and towers that have withstood centuries of wind, rain, and human curiosity. Approaching the site, one is struck not only by the scale, but by the atmosphere. The ground, worn smooth by generations of footsteps, seems to vibrate with history. Birds flit among the walls, their calls echoing in the silent corridors, while the distant hum of the African plains provides a timeless backdrop. The ruins stretch across more than 700 acres, a testament to a society that, between the 11th and 15th centuries, created one of Africa's most significant stone complexes. Yet, despite its grandeur, much about Great Zimbabwe remains enigmatic. Who built these walls? How were the massive stones transported and assembled without mortar? And why did this once thriving city eventually fall into abandonment? The Great Enclosure, the largest single ancient structure in sub-Saharan Africa, dominates the site. Its walls curve gracefully, enclosing what may have been ceremonial or elite spaces, rising up to nearly 11 meters at certain points. Walking along the top of the walls, one can imagine the bustle of life below. Traders negotiating goods, metal workers forging tools, and leaders issuing decrees from within the fortified enclosures. Archaeologists have found evidence of trade spanning thousands of miles, including beads from India and porcelain from China, suggesting that Great Zimbabwe was far from isolated. This evidence situates the city as a powerful economic hub, connected to distant lands by vast networks of commerce. Yet the methods of construction remain puzzling. The walls, built with carefully cut granite blocks, fit together without mortar, held in place by precise weight distribution and ingenuity. Even today, replicating such feats using only the tools thought to be available at the time challenges engineers and archaeologists alike. Some suggest that trial and error over generations produced these techniques, honed into an architectural language unique to this civilization. Others speculate about knowledge that has been lost to time, techniques or traditions so advanced that their origins are impossible to trace. Inside the enclosures, circular stone platforms and smaller towers invite contemplation. Some historians argue that these may have been residences for elite members of society, or spaces for rituals and ceremonies. Yet the placement of certain walls and chambers defies simple functional explanation. The enigmatic conical tower, rising from within the great enclosure, is particularly striking. Its exact purpose remains uncertain. Was it symbolic, representing authority or cosmological belief? Or did it serve a practical purpose, perhaps for grain storage or as a lookout? The lack of contemporary written records leaves these questions tantalizingly open, allowing the imagination to wander across possibilities that may forever remain just beyond reach. The mystery deepens when considering the city's social and political context. Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a complex society, capable of producing sophisticated art, architecture, and trade networks. Yet the very people who built these walls left almost no written record. The structures themselves are the story, but one that speaks in stone rather than script. How did this society organize labor, maintain social cohesion, and transmit knowledge across generations? What inspired them to erect walls of such magnitude and precision, walls that continue to inspire awe and speculation today? Even the name Zimbabwe, meaning stone houses in the Shona language, reflects a direct connection to the monumental architecture. But beyond the literal meaning lies an intangible quality. The ruins convey authority, permanence, and a sense of purpose that transcends the practical. Walking among the stones, one feels the deliberate intention behind each curve and alignment. The walls seem to frame not just spaces, but ideas about power, community, and perhaps even spirituality. Some scholars have suggested that astronomical alignments, solar observations, or ritualistic functions may have influenced the layout of certain enclosures, hinting at a sophistication that blends the physical and metaphysical. Speculative theories about Great Zimbabwe abound, ranging from the plausible to the extraordinary. Some researchers have posited that the builders had a precise understanding of civil engineering and weight distribution that rivals later European techniques. Others have explored the possibility of ritual or sacred knowledge influencing the layout and construction, though evidence remains fragmentary. There are even fringe hypotheses that suggest lost technologies or esoteric practices may have guided the city's creation. Each theory, whether mainstream or speculative, converges on a single observation. Great Zimbabwe is not simply a ruin. It is a puzzle, an enduring question in stone that challenges conventional explanations. As one traces the contours of the walls, the site's scale becomes even more imposing. The enclosures, passageways, and towers, stretching across the plateau, suggest not only power, but intentionality, a careful orchestration of space, vision, and authority. The absence of mortar, the precision of the stone fitting, the sheer ambition of the layout, these features encourage reflection. How could such a society, without written records or mechanized tools, achieve what they did? And why, after centuries of flourishing, did Great Zimbabwe decline? Was it resource depletion, internal strife, environmental change, or some combination that led to abandonment? The ruins offer no definitive answer. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of Great Zimbabwe is the sense of continuity and absence it embodies. The stones endure, resolute and silent, while the lives of those who built them are largely invisible to us. There is a profound tension in that silence, a reminder of both human ingenuity and the impermanence of societies. As the wind brushes across the walls and birds circle the towers, one can almost imagine the city alive with sound and movement, only to realize that the story must be inferred from shadows and remnants. Stepping back from the great enclosure, the ruins invite contemplation, not just of what was, but of what remains hidden. How much of this ancient knowledge, skill, and intent has been lost to time? What did the builders hope to preserve within these walls, and what meanings have slipped beyond our grasp? Great Zimbabwe remains a testament to human creativity and resilience, but also a silent challenge. To decipher a civilization through stone alone, and to acknowledge that some mysteries may never yield their secrets. And so, as the afternoon light softens across the plateau, the ruins continue to inspire awe and inquiry. They are at once tangible and elusive, monumental yet intimate, a reminder that human history is filled with stories still waiting to be told, waiting in shadowed corners behind massive walls and in the spaces where stone meets sky. What has been lost and what might still be uncovered lingers quietly in the imagination, inviting each visitor and each viewer to ponder the enduring mystery of Great Zimbabwe. Rising above the dense emerald canopy of the Petén rainforest in northern Guatemala, Tikal Temple IV pierces the horizon like a stone arrow aimed at the sky. Even from a distance, its massive silhouette commands attention, a sentinel of a civilization long vanished. The temple, one of the tallest and most imposing of the ancient Maya city of Tikal, emerges almost organically from the surrounding jungle, as if the trees themselves have grown in deference to its presence. From this vantage point, the forest stretches endlessly, a sea of green punctuated by occasional glimpses of smaller temples and plazas, hinting at the grandeur that once flourished here. Approaching the base of Temple IV, the scale becomes nearly incomprehensible. The structure rises nearly 70 meters above the jungle floor, dwarfing any human visitor who dares to ascend its steep steps. The stones, weathered by centuries of rain and sun, seem almost alive, their surfaces worn smooth in some places, sharply defined in others. The steep staircases, precarious yet meticulously constructed, led upward through shadows and sunlight, each step a reminder of the immense labor and organization required to create such a monument. How did the Maya, without pulleys, cranes, or modern engineering, lift massive stone blocks to such heights? And why dedicate such extraordinary effort to a structure that towers not over roads or cities, but over the thick, sprawling jungle itself? At the summit, the view is breathtaking. The jungle stretches in every direction, seemingly infinite, interrupted only by the occasional peak of another temple emerging like a solitary island from the green expanse. From this height, the city of Tikal, once home to tens of thousands, reveals itself not as a single entity, but as a network of plazas, pyramids, and palaces, all carefully aligned. Scholars note that the layout of Tikal reflects sophisticated planning, astronomical awareness, and social hierarchy. Yet, even with such understanding, questions remain. What determined the placement of each structure? Were the temples aligned with celestial events, with the cycles of the sun and stars, or perhaps with something now lost to memory? Rituals, prophecies, or long-forgotten beliefs? Temple 4 is particularly intriguing because of its unique proportions. Its base is broad and commanding, yet the structure tapers elegantly toward the top, culminating in a temple sanctuary that must have been reserved for elite rulers or priests. The design is deliberate, almost ceremonial, guiding the eye and the spirit upward, toward the heavens. Archaeologists have uncovered remnants of elaborate stucco decoration and traces of painted murals within similar temples, suggesting that Temple 4 may have once been a riot of color, a living monument of religious devotion and political power. And yet these embellishments have largely vanished, leaving only the stark beauty of stone and shadow, and inviting speculation about what scenes, stories, or symbols were once portrayed for the eyes of the Maya. The purpose of Temple 4, like much of Tikal, is multi-layered. It likely served both religious and political functions, acting as a center for ritual ceremonies, astronomical observations, and the assertion of dynastic power. The Maya were keen observers of the sky, their calendars and astronomical knowledge precise to an astonishing degree. Some researchers suggest that the temples themselves may have been designed to interact with sunlight and shadow during key times of the year, casting long, deliberate shapes across the plazas below. Could Temple 4, towering above the jungle, have served as a giant instrument for tracking celestial events? Or perhaps its alignment held symbolic meaning, connecting the earthly domain with the spiritual realm of gods and ancestors? Beyond mainstream explanations, the construction methods themselves inspire wonder. The stones of Temple 4, some weighing several tons, were transported and lifted without the aid of metal tools or the wheel. Laborers must have used ropes, ramps, and sheer human effort to complete the structure, a feat of endurance, ingenuity, and organization. Yet, the precision achieved in the placement of stones and the stability of the monument for over a millennium provokes deeper questions. How did the Maya ensure that the temple would endure, despite seismic activity, weather, and the relentless growth of the jungle? Were there techniques now lost, passed down through generations, that allowed the Maya to manipulate materials and forces with an almost intuitive understanding of physics? Temple 4 also holds secrets in its immediate environment. Lush terraces, hidden chambers, and carefully positioned stairways suggest a complexity beyond the purely visible. Some researchers theorize that subterranean passages or ritual spaces may exist beneath or within the structure, deliberately concealed or simply lost to the ages. Could there be chambers that contain relics, inscriptions, or knowledge yet to be discovered? The very idea that such monumental constructions could hide further mysteries beneath the visible surfaces adds to the temple's allure and the sense of suspense that envelops visitors and scholars alike. The social and political significance of Temple 4 cannot be overstated. Tikal was a powerful city-state during the classic Maya period, and temples like this one symbolized the connection between rulers and the divine. The rulers' tombs, ritual paraphernalia, and offerings, some unearthed, many undoubtedly still undiscovered, reveal a civilization deeply invested in the interplay between power, faith, and cosmology. Temple 4, as the tallest structure in the city, may have served as both a literal and symbolic pinnacle of authority, a reminder that rulers claimed both the land and the sky. Yet, despite extensive research, the full story of those who built and worshipped here remains tantalizingly incomplete. Speculative theories add another layer to the mystery. Some suggest that the Maya may have employed techniques of acoustics, aligning temples to amplify chants or ritual sounds across the plazas. Others posit that certain angles or placements within the temple could have had astronomical or astrological significance beyond our current understanding. And while these ideas remain unproven, they underscore a profound truth. Temple 4 is not merely a physical structure, but a manifestation of knowledge, intention, and belief that continues to challenge modern interpretation. Standing atop the summit, with the wind rustling through the treetops and the distant calls of howler monkeys echoing through the valleys, one cannot help but feel the weight of time pressing against the senses. The stone beneath the fingers, the sheer scale of the temple, and the unbroken expanse of jungle all contribute to an overwhelming sense of human endeavor, ambition, and mystery. How much of this knowledge has been lost? How much of the Maya understanding of the cosmos, politics, and ritual is still encoded in the very stones of Temple 4, waiting to be deciphered? As the sunlight slowly shifts, casting long shadows across the stairways and terraces, Temple 4 remains a monument of endurance and enigma. Its presence commands respect and curiosity, reminding us that the Maya, like all great civilizations, built not just for function, but for meaning. And yet, despite decades of research, excavation, and study, questions persist. What secrets does Temple 4 still guard within its stones and terraces? What truths about the Maya world lie just beyond our reach, hidden in plain sight or buried beneath centuries of earth and growth? In the quiet reverence of the jungle, Temple 4 whispers its ancient story, both revealed and concealed. It challenges us to consider the limits of our understanding and to marvel at the ingenuity of a people who sought to reach the heavens from the dense rainforest below. And as we descend the steep steps, leaving the temple behind, the mystery lingers, a silent invitation to continue searching, questioning, and imagining what might still be hidden within the stones, the shadows, and the memory of Tikal itself. As the sun dips low over the high desert of northwestern New Mexico, the mesas and canyons of Chaco begin to glow with a warm amber light. From this vantage point, the ancient great houses, massive multi-story complexes of stone, emerge like ghosts from the arid landscape. Long shadows stretch across the canyon floor, tracing the lines of walls and plazas that have endured for centuries, silent witnesses to a civilization that flourished and vanished long before European contact. The air is dry, scented faintly with juniper and sage, carrying the faint whispers of wind that seem to murmur secrets across the vast, empty space. Chaco Canyon was not simply a settlement. It was a cultural and ceremonial heartland for the ancestral Puebloans between the 9th and 12th centuries. Walking among the ruins of Pueblo Bonito, the largest of the great houses, one is struck by the scale and sophistication of its construction. Its walls, built from sandstone blocks carefully shaped and laid in tight, interlocking patterns, rise several stories high, enclosing hundreds of rooms. The precision is staggering. Corners meet at exact angles, doorways and niches are meticulously aligned, and masonry techniques suggest a highly skilled labor force capable of producing both durability and beauty. How did a society without metal tools, draft animals, or wheeled vehicles achieve such feats? And perhaps more puzzling, why here, amid the rugged canyons and scarce water, did they dedicate such immense resources to these monumental structures? The layout of Chaco Canyon further deepens the mystery. Archaeologists have noted the careful alignment of certain buildings with solar, lunar, and cardinal points. The sun dagger petroglyph on Fajada Butte, for instance, famously marks the solstices and equinoxes, a silent testament to the astronomical knowledge of the ancestral Puebloans. The great houses themselves appear to form an interconnected network, linked by roads stretching for tens of miles across the desert plateau, often in remarkably straight lines that traverse difficult terrain. Why were these roads so precisely constructed? Were they purely practical, for trade and communication? Or did they hold symbolic or ceremonial significance, connecting sacred sites in a deliberate cosmic pattern? Inside the great houses, the evidence of complex social organization is unmistakable. Large kivas, circular subterranean ceremonial chambers, punctuate the architecture, often in multiples, suggesting communal gatherings, ritual practices, and possibly political functions. The scale and number of rooms imply not just storage or domestic use, but a society capable of centralized planning, labor coordination, and sustained construction over generations. Some rooms, however, remain enigmatic. Tiny chambers with no apparent practical function, secreted in the recesses of massive complexes, hint at activities that may never be fully understood. Were these spaces for ritual, for elite privacy, or for purposes now lost to time? Even the sourcing of materials invites curiosity. Sandstone blocks and timber were hauled from distant locations, sometimes over several miles of rugged terrain. This required not just physical effort, but organizational and logistical skill on a grand scale. Scholars debate the methods used: simple human labor with rope and leverage, ingenious ramp systems, or other techniques now lost. The precision with which the stones fit, combined with the endurance of the structures over centuries of weather and seismic activity, challenges our understanding of pre-industrial engineering. Did the ancestral Puebloans possess construction knowledge that was remarkably advanced? Or have we underestimated the sophistication of their collective skill? The alignment of Chaco Canyon structures extends beyond the purely architectural. Some researchers have suggested that certain great houses were positioned to align with distant mountain peaks, celestial events, or other landscape features. Could these alignments have functioned as astronomical observatories, ceremonial markers, or cosmological maps encoded in stone? While mainstream archaeology emphasizes practical and ceremonial explanations, the precision and consistency of these alignments invite speculation. Were the builders mapping the heavens and the earth simultaneously, creating a sacred geography that merged human life with cosmic cycles? The scale and ambition of Chaco Canyon also raise questions about the society's labor and social organization. Maintaining such a network of monumental structures, ceremonial sites, and connecting roads would have required an enormous workforce and sophisticated coordination. How was this labor mobilized? Were there hierarchies or systems of governance that directed efforts across the canyon and beyond? Evidence suggests that Chaco was a hub of trade, communication, and cultural influence, linking distant communities across the Southwest. Yet, despite the sophistication implied by these achievements, the exact mechanisms of governance, the societal rules, and the daily lives of the people remain tantalizingly obscure. Some elements of Chaco Canyon remain deeply enigmatic. Burials within the great houses reveal wealth and status differences, yet many artifacts and ceremonial objects suggest influences from distant cultures. Mesoamerican shells, macaw feathers, and turquoise have been discovered far from their origins. How did these materials arrive in the desert, and what did they signify? Were they evidence of trade networks, pilgrimages, or ritualized gift exchanges? And what do they tell us about the spiritual or cosmological vision of the Choquequirao people? Speculative theories continue to surround Chaco Canyon. Some suggest that the great houses, roads, and astronomical alignments were components of a ceremonial complex designed to guide, educate, or inspire entire communities. Others propose that the canyon itself functioned as a hub for ritual pilgrimage routes, and elite power projection, a sacred landscape etched into stone. Fringe theories even explore the possibility of lost technologies or forgotten knowledge embedded within the architecture, methods of construction, observation, or communication that modern science has yet to fully comprehend. While such ideas remain unproven, they underscore a simple truth. Chaco Canyon continues to defy complete understanding. Standing atop a high ridge overlooking Pueblo Bonito at twilight, the scale of human ambition becomes tangible. The canyon stretches endlessly, shadows deepening in the nooks and corridors of the great houses, while the vast sky above darkens into a canopy of stars. The ruins, enduring yet silent, speak not in words, but in stone, shadow, and alignment. Each wall, each kiva, each road is a fragment of a civilization that reached extraordinary heights, leaving questions as enduring as the structures themselves. How much of the Choquequirao knowledge, ritual, and social organization remains buried, hidden in chambers, buried beneath rubble, or erased entirely by time? And so, Chaco Canyon endures as both a monument and a mystery. Its massive stone walls, intricate layouts, and celestial alignments invite awe and reflection. The canyon challenges us to consider what it means to organize, observe, and build on a monumental scale with limited resources. It reminds us that even in the vast silence of the desert, human ingenuity can carve meaning into stone. And yet, some of that meaning may forever elude us. As the first stars appear above the mesas and the wind whispers through the canyon, one is left to wonder. What secrets of the ancestral Puebloans remain hidden in Chaco's shadows, waiting patiently for discovery, or simply for contemplation? Beyond the sun-scorched sands of southern Egypt, where the Sahara stretches in waves of ochre and gold, lies a place that seems almost suspended in time. Nabta Playa, an ancient basin that once held seasonal lakes and thriving communities, rests quietly amidst the shifting dunes. At first glance, it appears barren, a stark expanse of stone and sand. Yet upon closer inspection, one notices the deliberate arrangement of massive stones, their presence both commanding and enigmatic. Here, in the harsh desert, the Nabta Playa stone circle rises as a silent witness to a civilization that flourished over 5,000 years ago, long before the dynasties of the Nile carved their legacy along the riverbanks. Approaching the site, the scale and precision of the stones become immediately apparent. Unlike random formations scattered by nature, these megaliths stand with intent, forming circles and alignments that hint at purpose and knowledge beyond the ordinary. Some stones reach several feet in height, carefully placed in what appears to be a deliberate geometric order. Archaeologists have noted that certain stones correspond to astronomical events, particularly the solstices, suggesting that these early peoples observed the heavens with remarkable acuity. But how did they, in this arid, unforgiving environment, organize such monumental efforts? And why choose this remote basin for a structure that seems so far removed from urban centers or fertile river valleys? The landscape itself adds to the sense of mystery. Nabta Playa was once markedly different from the desert it is today. Archaeological evidence indicates that it contained seasonal lakes, supporting pastoral communities, and possibly acting as a hub for ritual and social gathering. The stones, therefore, are not isolated monuments, but part of a broader human and environmental context, a place where survival, ceremony, and observation may have converged. Walking among the stones, one can almost imagine communities gathering here, tracking the movement of the sun and stars, celebrating cycles of rain and harvest, or performing ceremonies whose meaning we can only guess at. The stone circle itself is remarkable not only for its age, but for its sophistication. Many stones are shaped or placed with geometric intent, and some align with distant points on the horizon where the sun rises or sets during solstices. Scholars suggest that this may represent one of the earliest known astronomical observatories, predating Stonehenge by more than a millennium. Could these ancient people have had knowledge of celestial patterns so precise that it guided their rituals, calendars, and perhaps even agricultural cycles? And if so, what motivated them to encode this knowledge in stone rather than records, leaving the meaning of their designs open to interpretation for future millennia? Beyond astronomy, the circle raises questions about social organization and construction. Moving, shaping, and erecting these stones required coordinated effort, a level of labor management that speaks to a complex society with shared goals and cultural cohesion. How did they transport these megaliths across sand and rock without advanced tools? What motivated the community to dedicate such energy to stones rather than immediate subsistence? The answers remain elusive, but they point to a civilization with both technical skill and ritual or symbolic ambition, a people capable of transcending mere survival in the desert. The presence of human burials nearby adds another layer of intrigue. Excavations have revealed small ceremonial pits, often containing offerings such as beads, animal bones, or pottery. These suggest that Nabta Playa was not only a place of observation, but of ritualized activity, where the living honored the cycles of life, death, and the cosmos. Some stones appear to mark or surround these burial sites, raising the question, were the stone alignments purely practical, cosmic in function, or deeply symbolic, connecting the earthly and the spiritual in ways we cannot fully grasp? Speculation naturally arises when considering the scale and apparent purpose of the site. While mainstream archaeologists focus on the stone's astronomical, ceremonial, and social functions, alternative interpretations wonder at the deeper, almost mystical significance. Could Nabta Playa have been a center for ancient knowledge, a proto-observatory where early humans mapped the heavens not only for survival, but for cosmological understanding? Did the builders intend the site to preserve secrets for generations, knowledge of cycles, rituals, or celestial mechanics that we are only beginning to comprehend? Even the arrangement of the stones suggests layers of meaning. Some appear to form circles within circles, a subtle hierarchy of space that may reflect social or cosmological structures. Others are positioned in long alignments, reaching across the basin, as if connecting distant points of observation. The precision hints at planning and foresight, yet there is a sense of mystery in the absence of any written record. Without text to guide interpretation, the stones themselves must speak, silently encoding the values, beliefs, and knowledge of a culture long vanished. The environment intensifies the aura of Nabta Playa. Unlike more sheltered archaeological sites, this basin is exposed to wind, sandstorms, and the shifting desert. Yet the stones endure, standing resolute against millennia of erosion. The landscape itself frames the site, with distant mountains, dry lake beds, and horizon lines that may have informed placement and orientation. Could the builders have intentionally integrated natural landmarks into the design, creating a dialogue between the cosmos, the terrain, and their own human presence? The possibility that these stones encode both terrestrial and celestial knowledge adds an almost poetic complexity to the site. Walking among the circles, one cannot help but sense both grandeur and intimacy. These stones are monumental in scale, yet the placement and orientation suggest a purpose for human observation and engagement, a site meant to be experienced, perhaps even participated in, by the community that built it. Were ceremonies performed in rhythm with sunrise and sunset? Did observers track the stars, the moon, or the seasonal flooding of the lakes with devotion and precision? And if so, how much of their knowledge and intent has been lost, leaving only these silent monoliths to hint at what once was? As the desert sun begins to dip below the horizon, shadows stretch across the stone circle, forming fleeting patterns that echo the geometry of the stones themselves. It is a quiet, contemplative moment, one that emphasizes both the endurance of human achievement and the limits of modern understanding. Nabta Playa remains at once familiar and unknowable, a place where survival, observation, ritual, and mystery converge. How much of this ancient knowledge, skill, and intent remains encoded in the stones, waiting for discovery, interpretation, or simply reflection? And so, Nabta Playa stands, a silent sentinel in the heart of the Sahara. Its stones endure, timeless and enigmatic, hinting at the ingenuity, ambition, and curiosity of a people whose lives have long since vanished into history. The desert wind whispers across the basin, carrying questions we cannot fully answer. What did these stones mean to those who placed them? How did they understand the world, the sky, and their place within it? And what secrets, astronomical, ritual, or symbolic, might still be hidden beneath the sands, waiting patiently for a future observer to piece together the story etched in stone? Along the arid, wind-swept coastal plains of Peru, a landscape of sun-bleached stone and sand stretches toward the Pacific Ocean, seemingly barren yet brimming with hidden history. Here, amidst the quiet hum of the desert, rise the ancient pyramids of Caral, monuments that predate even the great civilizations of the Andes and challenge our understanding of the origins of urban society in the Americas. From a distance, the pyramids appear deceptively simple, broad, stepped mounds of earth and stone, but as one approaches, the scale and sophistication of their construction become undeniably apparent. The largest of these pyramids towers over the surrounding landscape, a testament to the ambition and organization of a society that thrived more than 5,000 years ago. Walking among the ruins, the sense of human achievement is immediate. The pyramids themselves are not isolated structures, but components of a larger urban plan, a city carefully laid out with plazas, sunken amphitheaters, residential areas, and ceremonial platforms. Archaeologists have identified at least 6 major pyramids and nearly 24 smaller mounds, all interconnected by streets and pathways that suggest meticulous planning. The geometry of the city hints at both practicality and symbolic intent. But what drove the builders of Caral to construct such monumental architecture in a desert environment, far from the fertile valleys and river basins that supported later Andean civilizations? The materials used for construction speak to ingenuity and resourcefulness. Unlike the later stone pyramids of the Inca or Egyptians, Caral's builders relied on local stone, adobe, and mud, skillfully layered and compacted to create monumental forms that have endured for millennia. The precision with which they shaped and stacked these materials is remarkable, given the limited tools available. Some pyramids contain internal chambers and plazas, carefully integrated to maintain structural stability. How did these early engineers, without metal tools or draft animals, organize labor, transport materials, and ensure the endurance of their constructions? And what motivated them to dedicate such immense effort to these stone and earth mounds, whose functions remain only partially understood? Central to Caral's mystery is its role as a ceremonial and civic hub. The city appears to have been a center of ritual, commerce, and social coordination, predating even the earliest known writing systems and metallurgical technologies in the region. Large plazas suggest communal gatherings, perhaps for religious ceremonies, civic announcements, or seasonal festivals. The alignment of certain pyramids and plazas with solar and lunar cycles hints at sophisticated astronomical knowledge, encoded into the very layout of the city. Could Caral's builders have been early astronomers, tracking celestial movements to guide agricultural cycles, religious rituals, or political decisions? And if so, how did this knowledge shape the rhythms of daily life in the city? Archaeological evidence provides tantalizing glimpses of the society that built Caral, yet many questions remain. Items such as musical instruments, including flutes made from animal bones, suggest a culture steeped in ritual and ceremony. Traces of trade, including cotton and other materials, indicate connections with surrounding regions, hinting at economic and cultural networks that extended far beyond the city itself. Yet, despite these signs of sophistication, Caral left no written records, no inscriptions that might explain the beliefs, governance, or motivations of its inhabitants. The city communicates only through stone, layout, and artifacts, leaving interpretation open and incomplete. The pyramids themselves invite speculation. Some scholars argue they were primarily ceremonial centers, dedicated to worship, elite authority, or cosmic observation. Others suggest that they also functioned as centers of social organization, coordinating labor, trade, and community cohesion. The largest pyramid, with its broad terraces and sunken plazas, could have accommodated large gatherings, serving both spiritual and practical purposes. Yet the exact rituals and meanings associated with these structures remain obscured by time. What were the ceremonies conducted here? How did the people of Caral conceptualize the forces of nature, the cosmos, or the divine? And how were these ideas physically embodied in the architecture? The placement of Caral within the coastal desert adds to the intrigue. The city is located in an environment that seems harsh, marginal, and unforgiving. Water sources were scarce, and yet the inhabitants developed methods for irrigation and agriculture, cultivating cotton, maize, and other crops in this challenging landscape. How did they transform an arid basin into a thriving urban center? And what does this tell us about the social and technological ingenuity of early civilizations in the Americas? Speculative theories have emerged around the city's purpose and construction. Some suggest that Caral may have served as a proto-urban model, a blueprint for later Andean civilizations. Others propose that its pyramids encoded astronomical, calendrical, or even symbolic knowledge, linking the terrestrial city to the rhythms of the cosmos. Could these stone and adobe mounds have functioned as both ceremonial and educational spaces, guiding societal knowledge through structured architectural experience? Or might there be meanings embedded in the layout and orientation that we have yet to uncover, waiting silently beneath layers of sand and history? Walking among the terraces and plazas, one becomes acutely aware of the deliberate human presence. Every mound, every pathway, every sunken plaza reflects careful planning, shared effort, and a vision that extended far beyond immediate survival. The city embodies a balance between function, ritual, and cosmic alignment, a harmony of social and spiritual ambition that continues to resonate. And yet, despite the clarity of their engineering and organization, the deeper motivations, the spiritual, cosmological, or symbolic purposes of Caral, remain hidden, accessible only through interpretation and conjecture. As the afternoon sun casts long shadows across the pyramids, the city seems to hold its breath, caught between the past and the present. The desert wind moves gently across terraces and plazas, whispering through the stones as if carrying fragments of stories long forgotten. Caral endures, not only as a physical monument but as a challenge to our understanding of early civilization, a society capable of urban planning, monumental construction, and complex ritual life without writing, metallurgy, or horses. How did they achieve such sophistication? And what knowledge, skill, or belief systems have been lost to time, leaving only these silent mounds to hint at what once was? Standing at the edge of the largest pyramid, gazing across the city, it is impossible not to feel a profound sense of awe. Caral is at once familiar and alien, monumental yet intimate, functional yet enigmatic. The pyramids rise from the desert as if they were intended to connect the earth with the heavens, the human with the divine, and the ephemeral with the enduring. And while scholars continue to study, excavate, and theorize, the deeper mysteries of Caral remain, patiently waiting in stone and sand. What secrets, what knowledge, what visions of life and cosmos still lie hidden beneath the terraces and plazas? And what can this ancient city tell us about the ingenuity, ambition, and imagination of the humans who first transformed the desert into a center of civilization? In the rolling steppes of the southern Urals, where the horizon stretches in endless waves of grass and sky, a remarkable circular settlement emerges from the earth like a vision from the distant past. This is Arkaim, a site so meticulously planned, so geometrically precise, that it defies expectations of what Bronze Age societies could achieve. From above, the settlement appears as a perfect concentric circle, a city laid out with mathematical exactitude, its streets, walls, and dwellings forming an intricate pattern of order within the boundless expanse of the steppe. Even today, standing on the edge of its reconstructed ramparts, one cannot escape the sense that Arkaim was more than a city. It was a carefully designed expression of knowledge, belief, and human ambition. Walking through the remains, the scale and sophistication of the site become immediately apparent. Arkaim, estimated to have been inhabited around 4,000 years ago, was constructed with a remarkable attention to detail. The circular walls, reinforced with timber and earth, enclose two concentric rings of dwellings, connected by narrow streets that radiate from a central open space. Archaeologists note that the diameter of the outer wall is roughly 160 meters, while the inner circles and radial streets align with astonishing precision. Every dwelling seems to have been placed with intentionality, suggesting that the city was not built haphazardly but according to a larger plan, a plan that speaks to social organization, engineering skill, and perhaps a cosmological vision. Indeed, it is this combination of geometry and orientation that lends Arkaim its enduring fascination. Some researchers have observed that the city's layout aligns with celestial events, including solstices and equinoxes, indicating a sophisticated awareness of astronomy. Could the streets, houses, and walls have functioned not only as practical infrastructure but also as tools for tracking the movements of the sun and stars? Was Arkaim a settlement, a sanctuary, or an observatory, designed to encode the rhythms of the cosmos into stone and earth? And if so, what knowledge did its inhabitants possess? And what purpose did it serve in their daily lives and spiritual practices? The construction of Arkaim also raises questions about social organization and labor. Moving timber, shaping earth, and erecting walls of such precision would have required coordinated effort and a shared vision. Who directed this enterprise? How were decisions made, and how was labor mobilized across generations to maintain and expand the settlement? Archaeologists have found evidence of communal activity and craft production, suggesting that Arkaim was a hub of both social and economic significance. Yet, the exact nature of its society, the hierarchy, the governance, and the cultural priorities remains a mystery, hinted at only through the physical layout of the city itself. Within the walls of Arkaim, the dwellings and workshops reveal glimpses of daily life. Hearths, storage pits, and clay artifacts speak of domestic routines and subsistence strategies. Metalwork evidence points to sophisticated craft, perhaps even early proto-industrial activity. And yet, despite this material culture, no written records survive. The city communicates through stone, earth, and geometry alone, leaving interpretation to modern observers. Could this absence of textual evidence suggest that knowledge and tradition were transmitted orally, through ritual, or encoded in the very layout of the settlement? Beyond the practical and domestic, Arkaim's symbolic dimensions are striking. The concentric circles, radial streets, and central open spaces suggest a worldview in which balance, harmony, and cosmic order were paramount. Some researchers speculate that the settlement was designed to reflect celestial cycles, mapping the heavens onto the earth in a permanent human-scale manifestation. Others note that Arkaim's circular form echoes later sacred architectures, including megalithic sites across Europe and Central Asia, raising questions about the universality of circular urban planning in ancient civilizations. Was this shape purely functional, or did it carry deeper symbolic and spiritual meaning for those who lived here? Arkaim also invites speculation regarding its broader significance. Some fringe theories suggest that the city was part of an extensive network of astronomical observatories or ritual centers, designed to track celestial movements across the Eurasian steppe. Others propose that its geometric precision reflects lost knowledge of mathematics and engineering, a tradition that may have influenced subsequent cultures in the region. While mainstream archaeology emphasizes its role as a fortified settlement and center of daily life, the extraordinary alignment, precision, and planning of Arkaim leave room for broader reflection. Was this city in some way a message to the future? A deliberate expression of human understanding and aspiration encoded into the landscape? Even the environment surrounding Arkaim adds layers of mystery. The steppe, while seemingly open and unassuming, would have posed significant challenges for settlement. Harsh winters, scarce wood, and limited resources demand ingenuity and foresight. Yet the city thrived here for generations, suggesting a community capable of managing both ecological and social complexity. Did the placement of Arkaim within this particular landscape have strategic, symbolic, or spiritual significance? Was it chosen for practical reasons, or for its relationship to the sun, the stars, and the surrounding terrain? As the sun begins its descent across the steppe, the shadows of Arkaim's walls and dwellings lengthen, casting geometric patterns across the earth that echo the city's original precision. Standing on the outer ramparts, one senses both the enormity of human ambition and the limits of modern understanding. The city was conceived and executed with intelligence, skill, and vision that continues to inspire awe. And yet, the deeper questions remain. Who were these people, and what knowledge guided their hands? What ceremonies, observations, or philosophies shaped the lives of those who walked these streets thousands of years ago? And perhaps, most compellingly, what remains hidden beneath the earth, waiting for discovery, waiting to reveal aspects of a civilization that sought to harmonize the human, the terrestrial, and the cosmic?